Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment. That's right,
Tiki
folks.
here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Yeah, that's right, Dragon. That's right. We've already done a Batman Begins commentary, and we've already tried to do a Dark Knight commentary. It didn't go so well. The Joker was interrupting our broadcast or something like that. We'll go with that as our headcanon. But we're back. We're back to finally get this out of the way, Dragon. It's the Dark Knight 10th anniversary commentary track, and my God, is this a big movie? We're a little short on time tonight, so I don't want to waste too much time before we get into the actual commentary itself. So, Dragon, what are your thoughts?
Right. See, my thoughts, I was dialed into the marketing of this movie, the hype wagon. This movie took over in 2008. I was there in the thick of it. I enjoyed the movie very much. Pretty much I was in the swell of all the hype and everything. I memorized the movie practically, watched it over and over again. We came out on DVD, all the viral marketing, like the Gotham Tonight segments and the animated film Gotham Knight, you name it. So um, that's let me run down some quick backstory. I'm going to keep it brief here. I'm going to keep
Okay.
it fluid. All right, so folks, let me run down what you need to know about the Dark Knight here. So after the success of Batman Begins, Warner's gives Nolan time control for a sequel, which is unheard of these days. Nolan, he gets the next Nolan movie in his system, out of his system, which would be The Prestige, which of course, great movie. Once he gets that idea out of his system and onto the big screen, he dedicates his focus with David Goyer and Jonathan Nolan on The Dark Knight, the big follow up. Again, he painted the picture of like the best follow up movie in everybody's heads with the ending of Begins. Now he has to do the impossible and make that best Batman movie anyone could ever imagine. To do so, he chooses to do it as a crime drama, with the theme of escalation and chaos, which again was kind of built in at the end of Begins, along with kind of the big, the kind of the chaos and anarchy of it all, with the Joker. And of course, Joker set up at the end of Batman Begins. You have that. That's all. It's all lock, stock, and barrel. But they need a sympathetic film. They need somebody to you need a villain you could see how they went wrong, someone who parallels Batman. You have that with the Joker, but not in a sympathetic nature at all. We need kind of a Heart of Ice vibe. So we need Harvey Dent. He was kind of an idea was floating around with Batman Begins, like, oh, I never thought we'd do another one, so why we use Harvey Dent? Well, now we can use him. Use Harvey Dent as kind of the White Knight parallel to the Dark Knight, hence the title. So they consulted in getting back to the Joker here, because Joker, of course, is a huge swell of not just the marketing, but a kind of a big reason people kind of remember the movie to this day. And, I mean, it's a very memorable performance. They consult Joker experts from the comics, like Jerry Robinson, who co-created the Joker, and Neil Adams, who basically is the reason we have the unpredictable Joker we have in the animated series, all thanks to Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil. So they consult those experts. They basically figure that Joker's an absolute. He's like a land Jaws
uh-huh.
essentially. He's like the Jaws in clown makeup essentially. That's kind of what they figure out with the Joker. Heath Ledger was the first choice. He stayed in a hotel. This is how he got into the. Basically, he took a month. He stayed in a hotel, locked himself in a hotel room practically. He figured out every aspect of the Joker. Jotted it all down in this thing. I would die to read, man. I
Oh, I
really want
know.
to the Joker Journal, which if you ever watch I Am Heath Ledger, look up the clip on YouTube, you can see the circus little diary that it's a little circus diary with like an elephant on the cover, and it has like all the things that Joker would find funny. It has like clippings of Clockwork Orange. It's basically everything that he considered in coming up with the character from the ground up. Like he figured out the makeup, the fashion, everything, and just to dispel any of those rumors, because it's already been said, but just to hammer it again, because just to show due respect to Heath Ledger, he was not stuck in character, folks. Let's just get that out of the way. He was not stuck in character. He could turn off like a dime. He was a good actor. He figured it all out, so he could do that. He was not like in the character's mindset off stage. It was he didn't go uber method with it. He just went the right amount of method with
Mhm.
it. So of course, unfortunately, lost Heath Ledger, and of course won him great acclaim, and of course, was one of the big contributing factors to why the movie is as historic as it is today, along with just all the great kind of Nolan-esque qualities built into it. It was a 13-week shoot in Chicago under the working title Rory's First Kiss. Again, they
Oh
have to come up
God.
with a fake name, very much like Star Wars Blue Harvest, if you will. This movie made IMAX history with the sheer number of IMAX scenes and sequences featured in the movie. Because before IMAX was used in documentaries, it was never used in feature film. Of course, the viral marketing I've spoken to a little bit. You had all sorts of like campaigns and stuff, like people on the Joker side, people on Harvey Dent's side, the "I Believe in Harvey Dent" campaign. You had there was a ride at Six Flags, the Dark Knight coasters, all
Yes,
sorts of.
yes.
As I mentioned, like these bridging movies like Gotham Knight, which kind of told you what happened in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. And look, the rest is history. And I guess yet again, the one thing they hit right before we get into it here is that Nolan, he went into this film, went into a Batman film yet again as a one-off. He had no idea he was coming back for another, so he put his heart and soul into this movie to make the best Batman movie anyone could conceive of in their mind. So Batman Begins is a Nolan film about Batman. The Dark Knight is a Batman film directed by Christopher Nolan, and I think that shows. It's kind of the Donner effect of like doing the film about the superhero when the superhero is already set up, and now we're off to the races. Now we're off ready to go and just ready to fire right into it. So Tiki, hit him with the lethal weapon of it all, so we can get into this commentary.
Okay, folks, so go ahead and pull up your copy of the movie on Netflix or anywhere else that you might be watching it and get your timestamp down to 000. I'm going to count up to 3 and then say go. As soon as I say go ahead and press play, and we'll try our level best to make this as entertaining as a podcast as possible, that you don't necessarily have to watch the movie along to get the references. But, I think it'd probably help if you watched along with us. So, all right, Dragon, you ready to go?
Ready to celebrate 10 years of Dark Knight. Let's do it.
Here we go again. All right, folks. The Dark Knight in 1, 2, 3, go. All right, so this movie is very, 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 very blue.
Yes, and also a little Easter egg here. The beginning of each of the Nolan films has like a foreshadow for something that happens in the movie. So you're going to see that blue fire coming up, and that blue fire, of course, is a foreshadow to some unfortunate. There's a lot of fire in this movie, but also thematically, a lot of fire, especially with what happens to Harvey Dent. So, yeah, really good thematicism right from the start. And when the movie gets going here, is kind of like set up here. We have the first of roughly 5 or 6 IMAX sequences that are in the movie. The movie has like 5 really big IMAX set pieces and basically some IMAX here and there for like kind of the overhead shots, which looks really nice.
And of course, each Nolan Batman film starts with a different bat symbol, and this one being the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to speak to Hans Zimmer, Dragon? Because I feel like his score in this movie is more important than any other Dark Knight movie, any other in the trilogy. Because my God, just the nerve, the tension that this scene creates, and as you said, the big IMAX scale and everything. This opening scene is I mean, look, it's basically perfection. Let's just call it like we see it. You know what I mean?
I gotta tell you, I love Nolan when he directs these heists and these jobs, within his movies. And I love like the bank job here. It's like the guy's got to do more heist movies because Inception, this, and he's never missed with those.
Mm-hmm.
So we're off and running with a lot of smooth, natural exposition on the Joker through the men that he's through his goons here. They're all like kind of talking about the Joker and his war paint. This guy's crazy. He's targeting the mob. So we got a lot of real smooth exposition here.
Now I remember they, of course, had this scene in I believe it was Mission Impossible 4. You remember anything about that?
I'm not sure about. Maybe you might be right. I don't know. It's been a few. I don't know when Mission Impossible 4 came out. That's the thing. I think it came out after this, but I don't know. Anyway,
Maybe I'm thinking of Mission Impossible 4 for The Dark Knight Rises.
yeah, I think that's what you're thinking about, Tiki.
Well, I know this came attached to something, but
you're right. Again, I don't think this one did. But yeah,
right.
it was probably attached. It was attached to something. I think you might be right about that. So, our thugs, by the way, are goons here. They're all they're parodies of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves because we have Bozo, Grumpy, Chuckles, Happy, and Dopey, and the bus driver. And the cool thing here is, hopefully, folks have watched this movie before they watch the commentary on it. The Joker, his robber, his goon, Bozo. That's a nod. That's an awesome nod to the '60s Batman. The first appearance of Joker in '60s Batman was him wearing that mask, which is again just a great little clever nod to that.
My whole
So,
thing is, I remember watching in the theater, just trying to guess which one of these was the Joker, and it was just really suspenseful right away.
I had no idea the Joker was in this scene. I should have put it together with the green hair, but I mean, I was just so enamored with it, you know. So this is
That's
a
the thing.
William.
Like, I didn't put the green hair together, but I did kind of put it together that he might be among them.
I mean, well, first off, let me mention here. Here's William Fichtner. He was in
Mhm.
Heat, which Nolan loves, and Nolan homages Heat a lot in this movie with the crime drama of it all. And in Prison Break, Nolan homages Heat, and he was a really great character in Prison Break, which I've watched that show, and again, has its better seasons than others, but he's a good character in that show.
Mhm.
Kind of our mob bank manager here. So with this whole opening scene in the bank here, I love that Joker as a goon is really clever, and of course the whole like where did you learn to count, and basically got a lot of silent comedy on Heath Ledger as kind of the silent Joker in this scene, which again is kind of adding more kind of a clown kind of nature to the Joker, which I really do appreciate.
I mean, just the performance on Ledger, even, under the mask, like his swagger, his kind of
Yeah,
like, the way his shoulders are bending. It's, I mean, it truly is just like an all encompassing portrayal.
yeah, I love that this scene does give us a good thesis on the Joker's
Mhm.
beliefs in this movie, where the Joker's belief is that the people of Gotham, or like for example our goons here, will turn on each other if offered enough money or if offered like the opportunity to. They will turn on each other, and also an idea I want to kind of seed throughout this thing is that we do kind of personify what the Joker playing card does in poker with the Joker in this movie. That when the Joker comes up, and I heard this somewhere, it just amazed me as a little fun fact about poker, folks. The Joker card in the game, it basically changes all the rules. It's like a wild card, changes the rules of the game. So basically, whenever you see a Joker playing card specifically, but even the Joker thematically, it's like you throw all the rules out the window. And think about this scene. We reveal that it's the Joker, and that explains, okay, this guy isn't playing by the rules of the usual kind of bank robber in Gotham.
Mhm.
Very so very interesting. I just love that idea. And of course, later on, we have the really great moment with a Joker playing card. And again, I think that really speaks to the idea. So I wonder if Nolan looked into those little fun facts when he was making the movie. I really do. It's because that'd be really cool. I love
I'm
this
sorry.
too, by the way.
I'm just kind of like taken by this movie right now. I'm just like, I'm reliving that night in 2008, Dragon.
And this is what I'm talking about to you. This is the changing the rules quality. Like he
Oh,
unmasks himself and then he pulls like a Joker move here, where you think, okay, grenades in the guy's mouth, and he pulled the
and
clue.
this is what really blew me away on a rewatch, how clever this was with blending into the school buses.
Yeah,
Like, oh
nice.
my god, he has it timed so perfectly.
No, no, no. I kill the bus
I
driver.
kill the bus driver.
So again, folks, believe me, as great as Heath Ledger is, we do also have like a lot of fantastic hallmarks of Batman all throughout this movie, which I think is really great. So like right off the top here, this kind of like getting a barometer, like a roughly 9 months to a year has passed since Batman Begins, and we see how Batman has affected Gotham. Again, the escalation effect, escalation through the Joker, but we get to see how Batman positively has impacted the streets of Gotham, which we have in this opening, which is very Dark Knight Returns esque. Where in Dark Knight Returns, you always have these political debates about like is Batman good or bad, like kind of the status quo of Gotham established post Batman Begins really really fast. Right, they're really off the ground running in this movie.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We
So
have we have the criminals being afraid of the bat symbol. We have the great line of Gordon liking everyone to remember that he's out there even if he's not going to come. All that is just it really kind of sets the stage. Of course, we kind of set up Ramirez, who's going to be a big player later on down the line. All very economic storytelling here.
with the Jim Gordon scene, by the way, I just love that shot by Gordon next to the bat signal. It's the seasoned Batman Gordon dynamic with that perfect line. Hopefully, because he's busy. I just love that idea so much.
Dragon, as far as I'm concerned, in as far as live action goes, this is the blue meth version of Gordon.
I would
This
I
movie right here.
I'd agree. Yes. Now here's a new idea for the time for 2008 with superhero movies. By the way, a new idea of hey, let's not kill off the villain from the last movie so we can bring them back in more. which is what we have with the return of Scarecrow, which is great. And also, again, we're putting the idea in the play, which of course the Joker will solidify in the movie. The very long Halloween idea of, we see the mob, the transitional phase in Gotham of going from the mobs to the freaks to the supervillains, essentially.
Mhm.
So we're kind of seeing that shift in power here. And now with the theme of escalation, we have a little homage to Dark Knight Returns yet again with the Sons of Batman here, basically the Batman knockoffs, the
Yeah, I
Batman
bet that
imitators.
surprised you in the theater when you first saw it, right?
It did, and again, I didn't pick up on the whole Sons of Batman idea, but I wonder if Nolan, if that's just coincidental, or if because it does
I
go
mean,
hand in hand with
at
the.
any rate, I really like that it's like a realistic idea
Mhm.
of course there'd be copycats, and of course they'd be way less good at their job than the actual Batman would be, and it's just a very Nolanized idea of something that would be out of a comic book.
Certainly. Also, I love the little touch. It kind of reminds me of one of my favorite bits with Scarecrow and Batman Begins, where I think ever since his encounter with him, he's become fascinated by Batman, and he has that line, that's not him, because Scarecrow's obsessed with kind of Batman in his relation to fear, which is basically was what Batman Begins was all about. Batman in relation to fear. So
Mhm.
I think he picked up on all that, and that's why he's kind of a fan of Batman.
Oh God.
So this is great. All this action we get here. Batman's using the pneumatic mangler. That's why he's able to bend the gun like he is, and that's what he's using to kind of dig into the van right here.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, we get the return of the Bat theme song from Batman Begins.
We kind of used the best of the Batman Begins score, and then we added a whole other great kind of tracks and great scores throughout the movie, like Harvey Dent's theme, and especially the Joker's theme.
Uh-huh.
So the way that goes, by the way, is from at least the way they established it on Begins. I believe this maintain this going into the rest of them. Hans Zimmer tackles these superhero kind of elements and themes, where James Newton Howard handles the kind of these softer, more emotional themes, like kind of the Bruce Wayne theme and like kind of the duality theme, like Harvey Dent's theme. That's all James Newton Howard.
I'm not wearing hockey
All right,
pads.
so to address that, that's not if anyone blames Christian
Dragon,
Bale.
look, like I think it's funny, but I think it's funny in the most loving of ways. It's almost kind of like a I don't know, a good it's like, it's a goofy moment in a movie you love. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure, well, I just mean on for the Bat voice in general, because everyone's like it's the one pot shot they can really take with the Dark Knight, and I'd say again, in the grand of the trilogy, it's better than where it goes. I'll say that much. It still works here, and it was altered in post. If anyone's curious, and Nolan made the choice to lower the voice. It's not on Christian Bale. Right, so he didn't know that was happening. He didn't know he was going to be pitched down. For all we know, he performed it like Batman Begins, which is just kind of I don't know, it's a little fun fact. So I love that for anyone who says, and I just want to kind of defend this because I always liked that in this movie we got to see more Batman's detective side, which goes hand in hand with it being a crime drama. And for anyone who
No,
says,
I definitely like that. It reminds me of a Fincher movie, Dragon. It's like a Batman Fincher movie in a way. It's
yeah,
like
now
Batman meets Seven.
you know what? Of course, we have one of the actors from Seven too. But I mean, yeah, I love like him, like the move with the irradiated bills, kind of a classic Batman Gordon scene. If he pops up at the crime scene, he's kind of helping him figure stuff out. Like all that's great. So I would argue that for anyone who says we don't have a detective Batman at all, and with the Christian Bale iteration of Batman, I'd argue this movie is the big evidence. It's not a lot of detectiveness, but it's just the right amount. I felt like checks the right box in a way.
Sure, sure.
So I love
So what do
thematically.
you think of this Batcave, Dragon?
Okay, well, okay, so with the bunker. So the bunker I like is a symbol of where we left Bruce off in Begins, where we mentioned this during the commentary. At the end of Begins, Batman, Bruce Wayne is left with only Batman. This new Batcave is reminiscent of that. He's not at Wayne Manor. We've stripped everything away from Bruce Wayne, so we see the Bat bunker is a symbol of him being obsessed with the mission, or at least in this case, more accurately, being obsessed with completing the mission.
Yeah, I really like how dry and kind of sterile this environment is compared to the original Batcave and Begins. And as you said, I think that kind of represents the side of himself that's so devoted to the mission that he can't really see anything else. He can't see the finer details.
Just to backtrack for a moment, because I think it's really important for the movie. I love how Batman at this point in his mission here, he's overconfident because he's had some success. Again, pre-Joker, he's had all this success, and and this is a Batman different than what we usually get with the character in the comics, where he's optimistic that his mission will have an ending, so he can be with Rachel and kind of basically honor his parents and be with Rachel. Basically, he kind of wants he wants a happy ending to Mask of the Phantasm. Essentially, that's kind of what he wants. And I think Tiki, the most pivotal choice on the rewatch that occurred to me watching this is that I love that he underestimates the Joker, and that literally is what destroys.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Dragon. The little exchange with Gordon where he's like, "What's one man against an entire mob?" And it's like, "Oh, you shall see, Batman. You have no idea."
But again, because of that optimism, he had that optimism for just a moment. It's kind of that great answer to the age-old question that can Batman be happy? Can Batman be optimistic? Can Batman have an ending? And we kind of see like if he thinks of those things, he'll distract himself, and of course he basically unlocks the Jack in the Box that is the Joker.
Uh-huh.
Of course, the symbol of limits too. Batman having limitations, and basically we saw with that kind of the famous kind of almost Alex Ross looking painting of the scarred up Bruce Wayne, sewing his wounds and everything. It shows the toll that a symbol takes on a man, both physically and emotionally.
Sure.
All right, so this scene here, so we meet Harvey Dent, played by the wonderful Aaron Eckhart. Now, Aaron Eckhart was not the first choice for Harvey Dent. Originally, Nolan was going to go some other players that he had worked with in other films, like Hugh Jackman and Matt Damon. They were considered for the Harvey Dent role.
Yeah, Dragon, I gotta say, Harvey Dent, Aaron Eckhart in this movie, I think people are warming up to him more and more, but I feel like for a long time, one of the reasons why the hype for this movie kind of rubbed me the wrong way is that no one was really giving Aaron Eckhart its due. It was all about how amazing Heath Ledger was. And don't get me wrong, Heath Ledger is phenomenal in this movie for sure. But I almost think that Aaron Eckhart, I think that Two-Face is, at the very least, the most well-rounded character arc in the whole movie. Like, even more so than Batman and Joker. Because Two-Face is the man that's kind of like in the middle of everything.
Just real quick, I want to shout out we have a fantastic homage and subversion to the Long Halloween, where Harvey Dent's in the courtroom during the trial of Sal Maroni, and the guy on the stand tried to kill him, not with acid, but with a gun. And again, it's the fun little subversion right at the top of the movie.
And I love how cocky Harvey is afterwards. He's just like, yeah, I'll handle it. I don't need to go to the hospital. But I'm not rattled up.
I'm not through, Your Honor. Yeah, what's funny? Nolan gave him a really good direction to how to play Harvey Dent. He gave him basically gave him the model of Robert Kennedy, which again, Robert Kennedy was very against the mob. He was very much against organized crime and corruption. So again, that's a very good baseline for Harvey Dent. And also the two-headed coin, of course, a staple of Two-Face. But ironically enough, there was a two-headed coin, I believe, towards the start of The Prestige. Fun fact.
Nice.
So let's see. Of course, now here I like that Gordon and Dent. This is the first time they're meeting, and they have basically they're kind of realizing that they kind of want to be friends. The equation I have for it is that Gordon trusts he wants to trust in Dent like the way he trusts in Batman. That worked out well, but of course there's always that IA divide. There's always the internal affairs divide, because one of my favorite ideas with Jim Gordon as a character, not just honestly period, I always love this line from this movie, which always kind of factored into one of the great things about Jim Gordon, is that he had this beautiful line that Gary Oldman just sold the heck out of, where he said, I work with what I have. I think that's the Jim Gordon credo. I've always felt that. That's he works at what he has, and that's, it's basically he has to work with Batman because Jim Gordon is desperate, like the mob is desperate, to kind of corrupt Gotham. Jim Gordon is desperate to undo that, which of course relies on the use of vigilantes and dirty cops to make ends meet. He has to use dirty cops because if you took out the dirty cops from the GCPD entirely, he'd only be left with like 5 men probably.
Sure.
That's all. That's all great. And again, I think kind of the best analogy I have is like Gordon and Dent are kind of like friends from rival teams, but in the same hometown. That's kind of the best way I could put it. That these are guys who would be friends, and they are friends, but at the same time, like it's like you're on that rival football team, like we're gonna crush you though.
And then on a rewatch, I find even more of an interesting dynamic to the rivalry between Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent because it's such a pleasant rivalry. You know what I mean? On both sides. It's like somehow the act of throwing a fundraiser is an act of passive aggressiveness.
Oh yeah. I have some fun things I discovered on like a really kind of analytical kind of a rewatch on this movie, which we'll get to when Bruce and Harvey meet each other. So
Okay.
anyway, I do like here that we see the again Bruce playing up the playboy aspect while he's on the job, where he's been partying all night long, etc. And we have sorry, basically the antics of a playboy. Bruce Wayne's keeping up appearances, but also it's like we see the toll that fighting crime all night does take on a man, where he's going to be tired in the morning.
And then, of course, we have a little bit of a foreshadow to Reese. And that's the thing, Dragon. This movie is like it doesn't fuck around with its foreshadowing in the slightest.
No, there's tons
It
of foreshadowing all over the place.
Yeah.
I love this fun meta gag where they kind of acknowledge that we want to upgrade the bat suit to make it easier and more practical. And how are we going to do that? Well, have him go to Lucius with it in the movie. Just like, he wants to upgrade the bat suit so he can turn his head, which famously none of the Batman actors could ever turn their heads in the Batman movie. So they finally, okay, let's just give him a helmet. Which is a great idea. So we have a very solid love triangle in this movie. It's a very, amazingly, because usually love triangles spell disaster. Like 8 times out of 10, love triangles will spell disaster. And in this case, we have 2 really good guys, 2 really good suitors, if you will. One who's not all-consuming in his pursuit of justice, being Harvey Dent, and the other one, Bruce Wayne. Again, Rachel likes Bruce. Don't get me wrong, folks. She still likes Bruce, and she still loves and respects the guy. She, childhood friend. These guys got a lot going for him. But at the same time, he's kind of too late to the party. He's too kind of late in the mission to return. It's like, hey, let's get together. But it's a little too late for that at this point because she's already met Harvey. And again, there's always that doubt that Bruce won't be able to hang it up.
Yeah, and the great thing about this dynamic, I think, is we've got Harvey Dent, who's this kind of like, I almost get the sense that Harvey Dent in this dynamic is the Clark Kent. He's almost kind of like the homegrown hero, if you will. He's the guy who's kind of like, risen himself up by the bootstraps. Whereas Bruce Wayne is the cocky rich kid in school. He's like, oh, I think they should push the tables together. I own the place. And I love how that's one of the first impressions that Harvey gets of Bruce Wayne is, just like, wow, okay, like I thought I was in a class of my own, but this Bruce Wayne comes in and he's just in a class above me.
Yeah. The way I read this scene on a rewatch is that I feel that Bruce Wayne, he's overselling the playboy nature of himself here with Harvey to size him up, like the whole, oh, you like ballet, that whole thing. I think he's doing that to size Dent up and kind of get a barometer if he can trust the guy. If like Gordon trusts this guy, I need to see if I can trust this guy. And earlier on, you saw that scene in the Bat Bunker where he's looking on the monitors. He's vetting Harvey Dent like he vetted Jim Gordon in Batman Begins. He's like planning things as he did in the other film.
Mm-hmm.
Like the scene kind of accomplishes a number of things. And again, you do see. Again, I buy the friendship that cultivates between Bruce and Harvey. I use friendship in a loose sense because more of a friendship develops between Batman and Harvey Dent. But it's got a bit of like they respect each other at least.
All right, so Dragon,
oh, yeah.
I just want to know, man, like theater reactions to this scene. Go.
Oh boy, I was one. I love the plotting of this, but my theater reaction was I was in the edge of my seat and just kind of wowed by it and was like, oh my god, like this is again, it's like the
Dragon,
Joker would do.
Here's the thing. I had heard that the Joker was going to do a magic trick that was going to shock the audience. So I was kind of ready for the magic trick of it all. You
came in with a lot of spoilers.
I didn't come in with the thing is, I didn't know about the pencil, though. When the pencil thing happened, it was still like, oh shit, that's the magic trick. Damn.
So let me decompress a little bit of the mob stuff here. I love the plotting of the mob in this movie. I love, again, the tracking where it would go from Begins logically here, where, again, I want to, even though I cite Begins, folks, I do want to make it clear, I do think this film can stand on its own. I think Begins is like makes you fully get everything out of the movie, but you can still kind of go into this fresh. It's like it kind of recaps itself within the movie with Rachel. I love that, we had basically, they went to a mob bank earlier, and of course the mob is desperate. They're clinging to each other. We see that visually in like this little kitchen setting. And basically they've hired Lau the accountant, who by the way is from Winter Soldier and Arrow. It's Shin Han, I believe. I believe that's the actor's name. He's in a lot of superhero stuff. Yeah, basically he's laundered the money, and all the mobs have joined forces because they're so desperate, and they're basically stopped warring to make them kind of an Uber mob.
It's gone.
And again, the mob is just clinging to what they have to stay afloat. Then, of course, enter the Joker. And I love how Heath Ledger. If you read the script, it's like Joker laughs, but Heath Ledger, basically came up with the whole ha ha ho he aha aha. I thought my jokes were bad. Like that whole thing. Such a unique read on, like, again, it's like, how do you? It's kind of the same thing Mark Hamill considered when he was playing the Joker. How do you make the laugh different?
Mm-hmm.
Like Mark Hamill made like a musical instrument. Heath Ledger made like, okay, it's gonna be like kind of a scary off kilter laugh, but just like it's
almost like I feel like Ledger uses it as like a war cry or something like that.
In a way, yes. Like he only really laughs when he can't control himself. But he just kind of like a calculated laugh to put people off. And these are of course some of the great iconic scenes from The Dark Knight, the mob scene especially. Again, this is one of those scenes that I knew at the back of my hand. This scene and some later on.
Yeah.
Because I love all the choices in the ticks. Like, of course, like the licking his lips, which by the way was a practical thing. Ledger had trouble keeping the scar makeup on, so he licked them. He licked them to stay on.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes from like all these little choices, like the hand motions and everything. You make him squeal.
Mm-hmm.
All of this, and
I think just the broad spectrum of Ledger's appeal in this movie is how unpredictable he is. Like from every little moment, like moment to moment, tick to tick, choice to choice, you don't know what he's gonna do.
Precisely, which again is you doing the Joker perfectly. If you can capture that unpredictability, which again the best iterations of the Joker have. So, by the way, with him, just kind of think about this, the Joker walks into this meeting laughing at them, and I feel that the Batman makes criminals scared. Like the Batman, he travel all across the globe to understand crime, to understand criminals. They're not complicated. Joker understands criminals too, but he laughs at them and mocks them. That's his response to understanding criminals. I think that's fascinating.
Sure.
Of course, again, now Tiki had that very important line, because right now he's just giving Gamble the business, which is always hilarious. And of course, the meta gag is that Michael Jai White plays Gamble here, and of course, Michael Jai White played Spawn, whose archenemy is also a clown.
Yes.
Michael Jai White just hates clowns. He just hates clowns, period. But I love one of the most impactful lines the Joker has in this mob scene is he says, you're crazy. He says, no, I'm not.
No.
In saying that, he basically... Exactly. That's I always viewed it with the Joker. I would say the Joker's crazy no matter how you slice it, because that's the only rationale society can accept. Because if we accept that this guy is sane, we just can't comprehend that. It's just it's terrifying if a guy like that is sane.
Okay, so classic rooftop scene here.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
I bet it is.
So all of this is pretty much straight out of Long Halloween. My favorite scene of Long Halloween. Of course, some of my favorite, I can't do a Gary Oldman impression, but I can only do a scene. I can do a Gary Oldman line from this. All that was left in the vault were marked bills. They knew we were coming.
Bravo, sir, bravo.
That's about it. But seriously, I love this scene. I love the partnership that's forged between these three. And again, they're three men who, in that earlier scene, Bruce Wayne saw that Harvey Dent has the life that I want as Bruce Wayne. I could hanging up the cow and just kind of being able to be with Rachel, but more importantly, achieving what the Wayne family dreamed up for Gotham years ago. The thing I want to basically, that's what Batman wants to make happen, instead of the traditional never-ending war on crime. If I can just get Gotham in good shape, I'm good to go. And this little alliance they make, this little trio alliance, the triad, if you will. That's forged, and again, with the symbol of Batman, literally with the bat signal on the roof, they make this pact, to work together. And there's also a bit of tragedy foreshadowed in that scene too, because Harvey Dent's chewing Jim Gordon out about, oh yeah, I almost had your rookie. Basically, he's investigated scum like Warts and Ramirez, and of course, Warts and Ramirez are absolutely tied into the fate of Harvey and Rachel. I mean, that's tragic.
Yeah, and again, just a good layer of foreshadowing by the good old Nolan boy.
Of course, possibly my favorite moment in the whole Nolan trilogy was in that rooftop scene, by the way. The whole, Jim Gordon saying, as Batman pulls a bad exit, he says, he does that. Seeing that realized on film, Tiki, that was my, in the theater, was like, yes,
Oh,
finally.
sure.
I was like, oh, that's the perfect bad exit. Him on the rooftop, he disappeared, and he's explained to Harvey Dent of all people. He does that. Yeah, straight from Long Halloween too. Okay, yes. So we have traditionally, again, Nolan, a huge Bond fan. We have kind of our Q scene with Lucius Fox here.
Yeah, this is it's fine. Dragon, what do you think of the Hong Kong sequence?
The Hong Kong sequence, I like it because it's the first time on film, by the way, that we have a globetrotting Batman, and again, Nolan pulling from kind of that '70s era Batman with like the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams Batman. It's Batman globetrotting. It was kind of nice to see, and it didn't feel extraneous. It didn't feel like it was. I don't know. It was like a brief
My
little.
whole thing is I just feel like there could have been an easier way to tell this story. And like to me it's like the one wrinkle in the plot that really like it makes sense on a rewatch for sure, but I don't think I think the whole issue of Lao, the whole the mob money being put together into one location and then Lao leaving the country and needing to get back into the States. Dragon, I don't know. I just think it could have been tied up a little more clearly.
I really don't think so. You basically turn Lao into the MacGuffin, is, and we need the Lao represents the money, and of course, what we do with the money later on. With literally, we do this to Lao and the money when we set him on fire. But again, I think well, it's making the fire thematic as well. But all of that again, Lao is just tied into what's keeping when Lao dies, when all the money dies in Gotham, essentially, when all that dies, that's when the pre-established mob order in Gotham dies. That's like the birth of the freak in Gotham, essentially. So again, Lao's and this little visit to Hong Kong. I don't know. It's it's brief. The fact of the matter, doesn't take up a lot of time, and I think that's what saves it. I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so multiple choice, Dragon, multiple choice. Let's speak to that because that's a very important element of the Joker's character in this movie.
Going into this movie, we had no idea what they were going to do with the Joker because, of course, the last time we saw Joker on film was Jack Nicholson, and
of course.
And with that, we imagine, okay, Vata chemicals, and we knew going into this movie it was going to be makeup. So, like, okay, kind of a very human-looking Joker, unlike we've really had before. And right here was the minute he's going into the story. I mean, the moment, Tiki, where it really dawns on an audience, like here you're hoping it's going in the Killing Joke direction, which it is. But I mean, later on with Rachel, that's when you absolutely know, like, oh my God, he's changing up the story, multiple choice.
Yep,
oh my God.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, one of the great aspired choices, and again, speaks. And here's the thing with the makeup. The cool thing with the makeup is it shows you the Joker is human, but that's what's again.
The makeup deteriorates throughout the movie, and that's what I love about it.
Yes. Oh, by the way, Michael Jai White, who plays a Gamble here, is like this little rumor that I think I don't think it's true. I just think he threw it around there that. Gamble may not have been dead in this scene. He might have just been scarred up and they were going to bring him back later. But if you really follow the logic of that, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, you can make it work, but it's just like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But I mean, seriously, and also a little fun fact: Joker doesn't look at a lot of people when he kills them. If you notice, like he looked away from Gamble, like to the guy over his shoulder, and he says, "Why so serious?" When he did that, he looked away. He looks away from a lot of people when he kills them. It's like a little kind of scary touch. Very rarely does he look at people in the eye when he kills them.
Interesting. That kind of adds a whole layer of complexity to, like, does he feel a weird level of guilt? And if he does feel a weird level of guilt, that honestly makes him even more fucking scary because it makes him more of a human. You know what I mean?
But yeah, well, speaking of human, that's what I'm getting at with the makeup take. It's kind of that question of like, is the Joker crazy or not? It's sort of like, is like the Joker like an otherworldly thing of like, is he pure evil? No, he is a human guy, which indicates that he could be sane, but by the same token, it's like, no, he's not otherworldly. He's a monster, but he's a human that any of us, given one bad day, to pull the Killing Joke fit all in the fray here, given one bad day, we could become the Joker. So yeah. So, by the way, because we have Lucius Fox on screen, I want to backtrack to again. I love me some gadgets in a Batman movie, and Nolan's always rewarded me with that. Nolan's always provided like a number of really great gadget scenes, and with the gadget scenes that has transpired, Skyhook is an actual thing. By the way, Skyhook was actually a CIA tactic to pull people out of hot spots. It really was. And I love the I love the gauntlet, by the way. I love how the gauntlet saves the day. I love, again, if you notice in all the Nolan Batman movies, the gauntlet helps save the day in the end because he breaks the sword and begins, and here he's going to defeat the Joker with it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
And all that stuff about the armor plating being separate, it is kind of on the Batsuit, which I really do like the new Batsuit, by the way. The upgrade from the one in Begins is fine, but this one I like it because it kind of makes him look a little bit more imposing. You know, it's you can see the technology, you can see the separated plating, you can see how he can move better than the other way, and also I didn't notice this until like I read like an interview and it struck me as like, oh my god, that's so true. Is that he does look a little bit more muscular and imposing during that interrogation scene with the armor plating now.
Sure,
Like if you
sure.
shine light on that suit, it looks kind of more musculature with the separated plating, so it's really cool. So they actually shot in Hong Kong when they did these Hong Kong scenes. They
You
didn't
know,
just like
I will give it one thing, Dragon. The stunt work in this sequence is really good. It kind of reminds me of something out of Mission Impossible.
yeah. So again, this is I believe the second of our IMAX scenes, right? The second of our
Uh-huh,
big
uh-huh.
IMAX set pieces here in the little Hong Kong scene. And Batman doesn't use the gliding feature of his cape a lot. He uses it, I believe, twice in the movie. Really, well, three times, like two and a half times. We'll get one of the times annoys me. We'll get there.
Okay.
But yeah, this scene here actually, when he glides off of the building coming up here, they had to do that entirely in CG with that CG Batman from Batman Begins I told you about. Remember, they have to like
Uh-huh.
they have like a fully CG Batman they can use if they need to. They
Which
had
is
to use it.
crazy, but very convincing at the same time.
They had to use it during that because they're shooting him on the edge of a building in Hong Kong. But like when they do the actual stunt, they can't. No one, as much as he loved to do everything practically, he can only do so much. And like they kept bothering him about like the safety and like he's on like an actual functioning building in Hong Kong. There's a lot of like semantical like paperwork he had to go through. So
Uh-huh.
they said, okay, we'll do it CG to make everybody happy.
God.
So I love the bat sonar mainly for what one it's cool and Tiki, you gotta remember this. It's so fascinating is that the sonar predates Detective Vision in the Arkham games. This whole movie, we don't get the Arkham games without this movie because they tried to do a Dark Knight game because they did a Batman Begins game. They were going to do a Dark Knight game, but that fell through.
Uh,
And because that fell through, they kind of okay, like the following year, let's do kind of a classic comics Batman game, which was Arkham Asylum, which it does borrow a few notes from the Nolan Batman, and it again like without without the Dark Knight, we have no Arkham franchise, which is amazing when you really think about it. Anyway, I was mentioning that because of the Detective Vision, but yeah, more on that later. So this is all great here. We have more of the fighting style. We have more of the KC fighting style that we saw kind of cryptically in Batman Begins because you know we
yes,
still
yes. And generally speaking, I feel like the action is much more clear and clean cut than it is in Begins, and it's definitely an improvement in that regard.
yeah, and again, the cool thing is that you know in Begins it was from the criminals. Like the first time Batman's seen, it's a terrifying thing. So the criminals are like they're scared. Like, did I see what I just saw? Is he more bat than human? And
Sure,
here,
sure.
people know that he's a guy in a bat suit. Therefore, the action is a guy in a bat suit. But it's awesome.
Uh,
And again, like you know, again, it's kind of we saw Bruce Wayne globetrotting in Begins, but we had like an honest to goodness like guy in the Batman in the suit globetrotting. Like it just feels so 70s Batman. It's cool.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas Batman knows how to make an
I
exit.
know, right? Right. This is like the ultimate bad exit. He's like, "Peace out, guys. I'm Batman."
Oh, by the way, just to kind of highlight some of the other gadgets throughout this sequence, sticky bomb gun,
Uh-huh.
really neat. And again, before like in the Arkham games, I would wager to say kind of
I'm
inspires the
Batman. Sorry.
I would wager to say the sticky bomb gun inspires the exploding jail in the Arkham games.
Uh-huh.
Wager to say that. Whereas again, Zimmer, TK absolutely right. I mean, Zimmer is just he really shot. This is probably the best of the not saying anything against the other Batman scores, but this was kind of the most clear cut. Like, you know, you know what you're getting, and all this is very it's kind of the best of the best of the best in regards to Batman here with the music.
Sure, sure.
Well, Men in Black reference for folks out there. I like that Rachel's actually better at her job here.
Yeah, Dragon, one of the things I feel bad about is I probably talk too much crap about Maggie Gyllenhaal, and she does a fine job.
She does. Yeah, I mean, I like that she. And again,
I'm still not blown away by the Rachel character as a whole, but I do think she makes a better romantic interest for Harvey Dent than she does for Bruce Wayne. And just that in and of itself kind of creates that interesting love triangle that we were talking about earlier.
yeah, and I gotta tell you, I doubt it was intentional, but the way that kind of worked out retroactively is kind of neat. That Katie Holmes, she was kind of tied into the Bruce Wayne story, and now we have Rachel who's tied more to the Harvey Dent story, and you have that with kind of those two different performances, and in the end, it kind of worked out for the best, I guess.
Mhm.
I'd like that, of course. Now, years later, Tiki, we had little did we know that Rico we'd know from Better Call Saul, but again, the first time I ever heard Rico used in the legal sense.
Yes. But this definitely caught me by surprise too. I was like, oh my god! Retroactively, we're learning lawyerisms.
Oh yeah, but I remember that's where I knew Rico from when we got the Souls. I knew it from this.
Sure.
But again, I like that Rachel kind of brought Rico to the table here. Like, Rachel and Harvey working together. And again, we see her working a lot better with Harvey than she did with the Harvey Dent fill-in from the first movie.
Oh God, was there a Harvey Dent villain in the first movie?
Yes, remember we had her boss. God, it was Carl. It was Carl something. It was her.
Right. Not a very memorable character.
No, it was. I believe Larry. It was Larry Holden was the actor's name. He played Carl something. Carl H. It was something. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. This is. I love how cocky Jim Gordon is.
Yes. Gordon is just like, oh, our boy looks good on the tube.
See, this again to me. This is my favorite. Don't know. I love again. My favorite moment in the whole Nolan trilogy is the ending of Batman Begins. If I had to pick a moment from the entire trilogy, I'd probably pick that. But I still really. This is my favorite performance of Gary Oldman in the entire trilogy. This movie, he just. It's we get Gordon as lieutenant and as commissioner. So one, we at least have him as commissioner, which is great.
Well, we have him as commissioner smartly about halfway through the movie for when stuff really starts to ramp up.
Here's that thematic foreshadow I told you about. You see the Joker playing card turned up, and now bad stuff's going to happen to our to our targeted three characters coming up here again because the Joker just kind of entered the fray. But yeah, I mean, just Oldman, he just basically it encapsulates all the things I love about Gordon. You have that guy who wants to do the right thing of like he's warding out corruption, and it's kind of like the animated series was Gordon who had worked out through the corruption, but then again, it would kind of pop up from time to time. So that's kind of the Gordon I grew up with. So we kind of had that here. And by the same token, Gordon is again Tiki. In my lifetime of Batman, I never would have expected that in a Batman movie, Gordon would have played a major role, let alone be kind of the crux of the third act and be like a third pillar of our story. That makes me so happy.
I totally hear you, Dragon. I totally hear you. I am retroactively very happy for you that this movie exists.
Like when I was watching the movie, that's what I was thinking of in the theater with Gordon's like, oh my god, they made him such a big player. I'm so proud.
Right.
Of course, Tika, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention
he's a pretty big player in Dark Knight Rises as well.
He is, and again, I love that Nolan has shown Gordon due respect, and I've always loved like some of my favorite Batman writers.
I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm sorry. I just want to stop you because you were about to mention something, and I cut you off. We need to.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention our favorite mayor here.
Yes, the mayor of both White Pine Bay and Gotham City.
Well, he could have been mayor of White Pine Bay if he applied himself, but that's great. Alex Romero from Bates Motel, but more accurately, the actor we all know and love, Nestor Carbonell, who, by the way, played Batman well in The Tick. So he's been preparing for a Batman movie.
And also Richard Alpert in Lost.
Of course.
Man of many hats, that Nestor Carbonell.
And director too. Of course, he's directed. He's written. The guy's just so.
He also directed his episode of Lost, his flashback episode. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
All right.
So that jump scare, by the way, was probably the scariest jump scare in the movie.
Yeah.
With the fake Batman falling down onto the window.
A little fun fact: Heath Ledger shot all of these Joker videos himself. Like when he's holding the camera, he's actually holding the camera in this scene. And he's pretty much improvising during a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, the scene's written out, but he's making like all the physical choices I'd imagine are probably him in these scenes. Like he has a lot of free reign during these scenes.
Yeah.
Of course, this is the same Batman.
This scene right here, probably, would you agree? It's hold on. Look at me. That right there, that moment, I think is the most intimidating the Joker ever gets. Would you agree?
I mean, it's up there definitely. I mean, in terms of intimidation, I think the moment where like he kind of jump scares Batman, where he's like stabbing him in the head and everything, is pretty intimidating.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That is pretty brutal.
I'm just saying, don't get me wrong. I mean, I mean, of course, also the when he kills Gamble, that's also pretty intense too. But I mean, you're right. The whole the shout again. He's shouting at just the right moments. He's not like all shouty or everything. And again, like when he's like honestly, the laugh too in that symbol. He's laughing. It's just like messing around with the camera, like he's about to kill that guy horrifically, which we saw that he did.
Oh yeah.
So by the way, I love the fact that that Batman, Brian Douglas, was the very same Batman who posed Batman the question, "Who are you?" Basically, what makes you so special? What gives you the right? That's the same guy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I like that Harvey Dent, on the whole, he's basically a legal Batman. That's what the mayor was kind of giving him props for in the previous scene there. We kind of see that, again, Harvey Dent he's taking chances like a Batman would in the legal world. And that's it's kind of cool that we're seeing, I mean, they're selling the audience on Harvey Dent as the White Knight of Gotham. Again, the good juxtaposition.
Speaking of selling the audience on something, Dragon, probably the most elaborate like Playboy cover we've ever seen in any Batman movie, with Bruce Wayne flying in on a helicopter with 3 models in his arms. I love it.
Now,
Classic
if only there
Bruce
were,
Wayne.
if only there was like a little pool section around here. Oh, but this is great. I love this fascinates me, and I think it's like something after the fact. I don't know how intentional this is. I do like that both Bruce Wayne and the Joker make an entrance and steal the attention of the room, asking where Harvey Dent is. If you think about it. So again, it's kind of saying like these two guys are kind of like peas in the pod, whether they like to admit it or not. They're both kind of making an entrance looking for Harvey Dent.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I believe in Harvey Dent. That's a line directly from Long Halloween.
You know what? I believe Bruce when he says that he's being genuine in his speech. He's not being facetious. I do think that he genuinely does believe in this man in this moment.
I mean, that's the tragedy of it all, Tiki. Batman truly thought he could win, and in thinking he could win, he also might be able to, get with Rachel. He might be able to kind of like retire from Batman with basically achieving his goal without any strings attached, which is kind of Batman's secret dream, But again, it's something that's so hard to make true.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, I mean I absolutely agree with you. He does believe that that Harvey, could save Gotham, and again, that's a big thing for Batman to admit. No, this guy's more capable for the job. I mean, he's doing it without a mask on. That's impressive. I can't do that. I solve things by punching people. He solves things.
Right.
He put away half the mob in a day.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying. That's literally what the first act is all about. The first act is basically kind of like, look how awesome Harvey Dent is.
Yeah. And again, Aaron Eckhart, I just don't want to undersell the guy. I mean, he really did an excellent job as Harvey Dent. I gotta tell you, he did.
Uh-huh.
So again, now Tegan, this is a really big point here. So I keep referencing '70s Batman, and again, I've referenced Neil Adams in the backstory and everything because they pulled from Neil Adams' story as well here. Like one of the most famous Joker stories that gets us, some of my favorite episodes from the animated series. They basically there's a story in Batman that gets readapted like almost like every roughly like 20 to 50 years. Again, like there's always like various decades you'll have this story readapted. The story where Joker was first introduced in Batman #1. The Joker announced that he was targeting. He announces his targets that he's targeting prominent figures in Gotham. And then Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil did a very famous story called The Joker's Five-Way Revenge, which you got to bear in mind. Like in the 60s, we couldn't do Joker in the comics the way he had been in the 40s because he killed people. They wanted to make Batman like a little less kind of more kid-friendly. And basically the 70s, that was them reintroducing the Joker after like a long dry spell. So he came back and he was unpredictable and he killed people with smiles on their faces.
And that's what this was coming off of Cesar Romero Joker, who was, like entertaining in his own right, of course, but full of camp.
Exactly, but all of that again, all of this stuff we have here, Joker's like targeting multiple people. It's like it reminded me of some of my favorite episodes from the animated series, but again, all pulling from that five-way revenge story, which again came in really handy when they were doing this movie. That's how you do like a grand reintroduction of the Joker. So I love this, by the way. So we have the editing in this scene is fantastic. How we keep the tension is rising and rising. We have Joker's note kind of bleeding into the soundtrack. And, because basically Joker, like Jaws, has two notes for his theme that keep playing in succession with each other.
Exactly, exactly. Except to me, it's even more intense than Jaws because it's like it's nails on a chalkboard, but in a good way. You know what I mean? Like Nolan somehow figured out Zimmer somehow figured out like, okay, like how do we make this sound so unnerving that you don't want to listen to it, and yet it's something that's just going to drive the whole focal point of the soundtrack.
Man, I love just like the last minute tension of like Batman is coming up from behind him and just like knocking him out, and then of course Bruce Wayne turns on the Batman voice. He says, "They're coming for him." It's like that's great. Now, like as this is happening, Gordon's like dealing with a dead Commissioner Loeb, and of course, think about it. The last thing that we see is like the Joker playing card from Batman Begins, like the storm that is coming. That is the Joker is arrived and in Batman's world right now, all because he didn't take him seriously from the bank robbery.
Exactly.
Oh, it just comes colliding down. And by the way, when Joker appeared there holding like the knocked out warts, that was the first time Michael Caine saw the Joker, and he had like a doubt during the movie, like no one's gonna be able to top Jack Nicholson. That's when he was proven wrong.
Oh man, yeah.
That's the moment when he was proven wrong. He was genuinely terrified of Heath Ledger in the makeup.
And then, of course, as I keep saying with Ledger's performance, the great thing about it is like I love how he grabs that champagne glass, tosses almost all of the champagne out of it, throws it to the side. It's just all these little nuances and touches.
Yeah, he captured the charisma,
and he's like poking this guy's cheeks, like, do you know where Harvey is? Do you know where he is?
No. I love that he captured so well the charisma and the unpredictability of the Joker. Like he's feeling the room out, and again, it might be an improv, and most likely it's him again feeling out the performance as he's feeling out the room as Joker would. Like, who can I mess with in this room? Like a comedian on stage, essentially.
Oh God, yeah.
This is a fun cameo, by the way. This is Patrick Senator. I believe I don't know if he's still senator or not, but Senator Patrick Leahy. And he's appeared in various Batman things. He was in Batman and Robin. He was in the animated series, and he's in this film and the next Nolan movies. A number of them. Like basically the whole, you remind me of my father. I hated my father. That whole thing. So this is great. And this is the moment as an audience member, as a Batman fan in the audience, this is where you put it together like, oh my God, they're doing Killing Joke.
Oh, yeah.
Where like he changes the story. Like, oh my God, it's so great.
And then at that point we're just like, we don't even know what to think of this guy anymore. Like all bets are off. The whole thing is just kind of put into a whirlwind of ambiguity.
It's that playing card theory, Tiki. Again, when you think you know the guy, you see all those playing cards and like you don't know this guy at all. The game's about to change. And of course, it's this great entrance for Batman. This wonderful entrance for Batman, and making a bad entrance where Joker just say,
oh, you're gonna love me.
You're gonna love me. Great. I love coming up here when the fight really gets started. Like never, Tiki, have they ever captured Joker's fighting style quite as well as they did with Heath Ledger. I'm not just trying to blow smoke up the Joker in this movie here. I'm just seriously. The Joker's fighting style is always like he's the opposite of Batman, but by the same token, he is dangerous and unstable in his fight. If he gets really crazy in a fight, then you're in danger. You give him a knife, you're a goner.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, still, it's like he's the guy who throws his henchman at Batman while he's kind of scrambling on the ground, but still getting some really big licks in, like with crowbars and knives hidden in his shoes. That's the Joker, and they did it so well. Of course, the KC fighting style. The mark of the KC fighting style, aside from just using your surroundings, is when you do the elbow thing. Like you basically kind of crouch down like a boxer and have like the elbows blocking everything. That's the KC fighting style. Again, this like you see what I mean? Like they designed this new batsuit to stand up to scrutiny with all of this light on it, so it didn't look ridiculous. It looked kind of practical and kind of cool, which I think they achieved. So I actually have this. I'm sorry, I don't mean to toot my own horn here if it sounds like this, but actually, for Halloween, I actually bought the replica of this Joker costume.
Nice.
Down to the socks.
God.
Of course, it's one of the great. If you need something to summarize, okay, it's Batman and Joker day to day. Okay, here's one of my very few complaints to the movie right here. Okay, I get what's happening here, and if you look really closely, Batman, he uses the glider on like half of the wing to cushion landing. But
Yeah,
my
yeah.
problem is that hardly anybody gets that. And Nolan should have shot this a little differently. Like the way down, like it's like it looks like it's like blink and you miss it. And I feel that everyone's like, how do they survive that fall? Well, it's there, but you just gotta, it's like my like it's like that. It's like the one little nitpick for me from the movie. Like, come on, Nolan, couldn't do it. It's another take. Come on. So here's another. This is a nitpick for me is that this actor here, Detective Steffens, like Gordon's kind of right hand man through the movie here. This guy should have been Bullock. Why couldn't he have been Bullock?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we see that he's not corrupt. I mean, for all we know, the guy's on the level. Even if he is corrupt, you still have that angle with Bullock. So regardless, he could have been Bullock. I don't know. I mean, he radiated Bullock throughout this movie, and he was like the valued guy. He had a big scene with the Joker later on. Like that could have been Bullock.
Right.
Like, that's the thing I would have lost my mind in the theater. Like, oh my god, they Bullock.
Okay, here we go, Dragon. The big Burma story. Oh man.
Oh yeah. I do like how we
cement the address how perfect Michael Caine is as Alfred. Like we've been singing Gary Oldman's praises, but Alfred, this is like I feel like this is truly like the blue meth for all these characters in this saga. Like, and Alfred has never been better than he is here. You know, he's just delivering such a real world, like hard-earned wisdom in this sequence.
Yeah, and I love that this speech that he has again emphasizes the theme of fire, which again will be important for just kind of the destructive, chaotic element, the burning of the money, the burning
when the fire rises.
Of course, that again in the grand scheme that was an accident, but in the grand scheme, sure. But I mean, yeah, I do like that we kind of set that up here with kind of Joker's a character who is kind of like he is fire. It's just this destructive force that just kind of burns everything around him. And of course, in the literal sense, with Harvey Dent, we have this so well played through this scene. Basically, this kind of Alfred did have like this missionary work and kind of this like MI6 backstory, and we kind of did through missionary work in this speech here. So, and by the same token, we're developing Alfred with this speech at the same time as he's relating to Bruce.
Yeah, great stuff.
Okay, this is the Sears.
This is an IMAX shot, not an entire IMAX scene, but this is definitely a shot right here.
I believe so. This is the Sears Tower in Chicago, which he's actually on the edge of the Sears Tower. Of course, you got him there. They have to CG out a lot of like wires and such around him for safety's sake, but for all intents and purposes, he's standing on the edge of the Sears Tower, which was one of the tallest buildings. You know, well, this and I believe the Pruitt Building were some of the tallest buildings in Chicago. Yeah. Of course, great Batman on the scene of the crime is kind of emerging from the shadows. Nice.
Yep.
And again, for anyone who says Nolan never did like a detective version of Batman, again, whether it's the world's greatest or not, we did get a detective Batman on the scene here with like kind of a little Sudoku saw here where he basically carves out the little brick with that great moment of detective work where it's like, you know, again, the classic Gordon has an idea, then Batman subverts that idea by saying, what are you going to do? Get ballistics off a shattered bullet? No. Fingerprints. Great. Force bad exit with again the playing cards. Tiki. We see the Joker playing cards, and you think something's going to happen. Of course, the mayor being targeted. A lot of bad stuff's going to go down.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm just kind of like caught up in the movie right now. It's not that I'm bored by it or anything. Just the opposite of that. I'm just like, man, I'm.
Well, real quick, I want to set up something that really occurred to me on a rewatch here, which fascinated me about the plot for the Joker in this movie. I love less the plot, more the arc of the Joker has a really good arc in this movie. And I love I might be reading into it here, but you do get to see an evolving arc for the Joker in this film, where Joker starts off, he wants to show Batman as a corruptible man, not a symbol.
Sure.
And that kind of goes to him then trying to corrupt the symbol, where against him trying to basically unmask Batman and kill him, like for the mob's sake. That's why he's working with the mob. You know, like Batman is kind of one of the things that inspired him to kind of cause chaos in Gotham, because this guy's trying to challenge him by putting order in Gotham. So I'm going to show him as corruptible as anybody else in Gotham, and he's just a man. Hence the unmasking. He wants him to take his mask off to show that he's a man, not a symbol. Like Joker's a symbol, he's not. That's the idea there. which as the movie goes on, this agenda changes after Batman impresses him throughout the movie, because it then goes to Joker trying to corrupt the symbol with the whole kill me angle, the whole you kill me. He wants to, okay, he is more than a man, but I want to corrupt what that symbol stands for, and I can still corrupt what that symbol means. And then by the end of the movie, most interestingly, in the third act, you can kind of measure each act by the Joker's arc in a way. You get to Act 3, it's he accepts the symbol as his other half. It's like, you and I are destined to do this forever. It's great.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So there's a little rumor going around. I shouldn't say going around. It's been going around. It's gone around for years. Coleman Reese.
This guy is a proto Riddler.
Well, basically, the idea is like, this is Nolan's. Again, I don't know if it's coming from Nolan himself saying this, which is why I believe it's a rumor. Is that Nolan might have just been referencing the Riddler with this guy? Like, he'll never do the Riddler, but this would be the closest he would get to doing a Riddler.
And of course, you know me, Dragon. I was dying to see Michael Emerson Riddler in the Nolan trilogy, and that never happened.
Sure. I mean, the fun thing is, and the reason I entertain the notion, by the way, the only reason I entertain the notion is that his name is Mr. Reese. And if you put that together, mysteries.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's the only thing that makes me want to bring it up, is like, oh, you never know if that's like Nolan's little Easter egg of like, yeah, we're not going to do Riddler. But here's the thing, more so than Riddler, what Nolan's doing with the Coleman Reese subplot is that he's referencing those years and years of Batman stories, which Denny O'Neil hates, by the way. Denny O'Neil, not in the movie, he just hates for eras of comics, he'd be forced by his editor to write these stories. Forced to write stories where, oh, somebody's found out Batman's identity. What is he going to do?
Oh, God.
like someone might find out Batman's identity. He always hated writing those stories, so it's kind of a fun, like, Nolan's smarter version of that. So I love that in this movie, again, the movie is primarily Long Halloween and Killing Joke. It's primarily what the movie is in terms of adapting Batman stories. But I do love how we still get a little bit of we get a lot of year one in this movie, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, you know what the interesting thing is, Dragon, and we'll kind of bring that up when it comes to TDKR, when we get to that, is the passage of time in the Batman saga is really interesting and unconventional and very Nolan-esque. You know, I feel like, of course, with Nolan, it's like this, like, it's not like this movie and TDKR aren't Rubik's cubes of narratives the same way that something like, you know, Inception, or even something like Batman Begins, with at least the first act being kind of jumbled like that, you know, kind of pieced together like that. But by the same token, I feel like it's interesting that this is you know, this is all happening in relatively close proximity to each other. It's like one of those real world things where Batman isn't going to be Batman every single night. He's not going to be you know, he's not at a point where he's developing his, you know, where he's a legend at this point. You know what I mean? He's making an impact. I'm sorry, do you get what I'm getting at here?
I think so, yes. But I bring up the year one point to kind of say that mainly in the third act, we do a whole lot of year one, which amazes me, and I love it.
Sure.
But here, on the rewatch, if you know it, well, yeah, I kind of picked up a little bit of this when I first saw the movie, but I mean, it really kind of dawns on you fully when years later. I love that Bruce Wayne, this motorcycle outfit, and the bike and everything, that's an homage to what starts off the climax of year one, where he's on the bike, following Jim Gordon. Of course, in the animated movie, they made it even better, where he's Gordon shoots him and takes the motorcycle, and then Batman's like chasing him, doing this awesome parkour. In the book, it was like he was riding a bicycle, so they just made it cooler by, okay, he's just riding a motorcycle. So I'm just saying it's like a little light year.
Music again, the music is just kind of creeping in. We all know something bad's going to go down.
And again, it's the Jaws thing here, where again you know that he's coming.
Sure.
I'd like to think that Joker hopes that Batman's in that window right now. I think that's why he has that set up. And of course, okay, so before I get into my reaction to the scene in the theater, I just want to say that Joker without the makeup, the big again, that's a scary moment in itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Joker without the makeup on, that is a reference to his first appearance in Batman, where I believe it's Batman issue number 1. Joker appears as a policeman with like this flesh-colored makeup on.
Ooh.
So that's where they're pulling from. Jonathan Nolan was behind a lot of the Batman. Nolan's brother was behind a lot of the Batman number 1 pulls in this movie. There's a little homage to like the Bobby. It's kind of basically Aaron Eckhart doing his Bobby Kennedy right there. He's kind of ducking the gunshots.
Yes, yes.
I don't mean that as a dark joke, but it just means very kind of he's like kind of the honor of a Kennedy in that scene.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, and this is great on a rewatch too. The how Dent really starts his arc of kind of going down a dark road before the transformation. You know what I mean? Like he's already well on his way, and it might not be necessarily to the certain extent of Big Bad Harvey or anything like that. We don't get a proper Big Bad Harvey scene, but we do get we do get some corruption.
It's a different approach to Big Bad Harvey, but it's great and more appropriate to this iteration of Dent.
Sure.
So real quick, I gotta mention this. So I was in the theater. So Gordon got shot, essentially, presumably killed. I gotta tell you, initially I was very doubtful, but this scene right here, the morning scene, this shot really made me really broke my heart here. Batman's in the same spot from Batman Begins. He's crouching down, and she's Barbara Gordon is blaming him. It's like, you did this to him, and I was like, oh my god, I was mourning Gordon in the scene because I was thinking, well, he did such a great, faithful job of Jim Gordon. I mean, Nolan I guess he did it. He got away with it. I don't know. It's like I was just still shell shocked.
Okay, Dragon, do you know what gave it away for me that Gordon wasn't dead?
What?
The fact that we hadn't at this point in the movie heard "Good evening, Commissioner."
Right. Yeah. That should have. I was so sucked in the movie. I should have.
I know.
Okay, but a lot of stuff's kind of going by as fast here, folks. I want to kind of nail a few things here. One, the shot. I love the follow-up. I love this idea of all the cops, the remaining cops of the GCPD are on the rooftop with the bat signal, hoping the Batman would come visit them. And again,
that's great. That's great storytelling right there.
And Stefan
doesn't want to see us.
And again, because they know he's busy, and I love it. Again, if Steffens were Bullock, that scene would be perfect. But regardless, that's a good scene, and that's also a reference to one of the best underrated Batman stories ever written. Gotham Central. It's kind of a line of Batman comics. Basically, the only issue with that book is that Jim Gordon's not really in that story. But it's about the cops of the GCPD and them dealing with having Batman as a vigilante versus them as kind of the police force rife with corruption. Also, that scene where the rave. Essentially, we're in kind of this rave nightclub. I like to think that's a direct little callback to Batman Begins because Batman Begins used the rave club all the time. I'm sorry, not Batman. Sorry, Batman Beyond. Different.
Movies. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, that's what I.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't remember any raves in Batman Begins.
No, but I mean, Batman Beyond, and also.
I just watched that movie a couple of weeks ago.
No, but Batman Beyond and World's Finest.
Absolutely.
And there's also that really great club scene in World's Finest.
Okay, hold on, Dragon, hold on. So this is my favorite Christian Bale Batman delivery. All right. Wait for it. He must have friends. Friends. Have you met this guy? Someone knows where he is.
Oh yeah. So this scene.
Someone knows where he is. I don't know. For some reason, that delivery is just the funniest Christian Bale, unintentional. Someone knows where he is.
So a few things here.
Go ahead. You're talking. Of
course,
Go ahead.
This scene, of course, is pulled from Long Halloween, where Batman interrogates Sal Maroni, and I like that. One, I love Eric Roberts in this movie. By the way, Eric Roberts is a good actor. He had done voices for DC, and that's kind of one of the reasons he was kind of attracted to the role. I thought he did. He made Sal Maroni is. Don't get me wrong. Sal Maroni he was fine as a character. And of course, he's responsible for the creation of Two-Face, so he's an important character. But I like that they got a really. I mean, he was a fun actor. He has this swagger about him. He's the corrupt guy with the smile on his face of Gotham. He had a little more, he's the song and dance man where Carmine Falcone's he embodies the idea, or this guy's he's just having fun with it. And I love that, he presents this idea that Batman has to contend with when you have a dramatic example like the Joker to scare criminals more than Batman does. They're going to see through the act, and they're going to see, okay, you have rules, you won't kill me. And that kind of takes away the fear, which means Batman has to come up with more creative ways to scare people. So this scene here, by the way, Shift Thomas here, or Thomas Shift, however that goes. I think it's Thomas Shift. He is played by David DeSmulchin, who was in Gotham. He was the guy who resurrected Jerome.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
And he's an Ant-Man. He's Kurt he's the foreign guy in Ant-Man.
Oh, Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. All
He was on
right.
Fat Man on Batman. He's really delightful. He's such a
Uh-huh.
nice guy. I want good things for Dave DeSmulchin. He's a nice guy. But yeah,
All
Tiki,
right,
so
so
absolutely.
I love Batman basically just giving a combat Carl like grill on moral ethics to Harvey Dent.
The closest we're ever going to get like a kind of an Adam West kind of
That's what
PSA.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But seriously, this whole scene again, Tiki, this is the whole Big Bad Harv, but kind of the Nolanized kind of narrative-driven version of a Big Bad Harv.
Right, right.
I love that. I love that. Harvey Dent's kind of shrouded in shadow, like the left side of his face is in shadow during a lot of this.
Symbolism 101 for the character, of course.
Or so we do it too much nowadays, but this is when it was done right, folks. But just to kind of talk about that scene a little bit more is that I love that Jim Gordon's death. Like Gordon's death and the fact that Rachel's been targeted, that's enough to kind of like. Cause I don't think Batman knows that Gordon faked his death. I really don't, because he was looking really bummed out that during that little the porch scene.
Mhm.
I really and again I like the thing kind of warms my heart. Is I like to think that Batman's really beating the crap out of Sal Maroni because he's pissed off about Gordon getting killed. This is my own little headcanon. I'd like to think.
I would like to think that too, Dragon. I don't think you're too far off with that.
But I mean, I like that he's securing his replacement because he's ready to do the right thing, which is honorable. He's ready to like he'll give himself up because Gordon getting killed is like the last straw, and it's like and Rachel's next. He can't risk it. His friends and his loved ones are being targeted. It's like I tried doing it my way. My way's not good enough. Harvey, you carry on my place. Don't fall down the rabbit hole. Don't give in to your bad side, or else that's or else you're basically going to throw away everything. Which is a huge foreshadow for the conversation they're going to have at the very end about Harvey Dent.
Uh-huh.
And I
Sure,
like that the
sure.
location is like this dark location, very much like the location at the end of the movie. And that's an idea. It's in Long Halloween. The fact that Harvey Dent was like the tightrope between Batman's side and Gordon's side. One's on the law side, one's on the vigilante side. And Harvey Dent kind of drifted between law and vigilantism, and that's of course kind of what broke him in the end. So we kind of saw a little bit of that there.
All right, so this is the famous trailer scene.
Oh yeah.
You know,
And again, Alfred.
I don't know, just good trailer fodder in the line delivery right here. The
Yeah,
choice that
but
no one else could make. The right choice.
endure, Master Bruce.
Endure, Master Bruce.
But yeah, I like that Alfred is in the corner of Batman because Batman is honoring the mission of Thomas Wayne. So that's an important distinction to make in the trilogy here because we're going to be talking about that some other time. Where Alfred is in Bruce's corner here because the mission of Batman is honoring what is achieving what Thomas Wayne set out to do in his life. What Alfred is absolutely in favor of.
Mm.
It's not about thrill seeking like again he grilled him about in the first movie. And of course, Tiki, the end of that scene is one of my best examples of what makes a good Batman Alfred dynamic because it's a real sad scene where Batman's like he's gonna turn himself in. And of course, the "I told you so" comeback where Alfred said like when this can't last forever and holy. Well, then Batman has limits. Well, today's the day you get to say "I told you so." Well, I don't want to say it today, but I did bloody tell you so. And as they're walking out, it's this beautiful moment where it says, "Well, I suppose I'm going down being your accomplice and all." And Bruce Wayne has this lovely. Christian Bale sells this delivery so well, where he says, "Accomplice, I'm going to tell him the whole thing was your idea."
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
It's like that's what Batman Alfred's dynamic is. You have that heart of like Alfred reassuring Bruce, but at the same time, you have that levity and that comedy between the two of them. Like that's Alfred Batman 101. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
So there is, without making a whole thing. I mean, of course, a lot of people have cited there is a commentary on terrorism in the movie, obviously, because we label Joker a terrorist, and I'd like to think that's
It's
kind of
funny. I feel like there's less of a commentary on terrorism and more of a commentary on like the how we handle terrorists themselves and what to do in that sort of situation and what approach is a right approach, what approach is too much of an extreme approach. And I feel like the Joker himself kind of manipulates the media to get those sort of conversations happening in a weird way.
sure. And I think you're right about that. That's kind of what I'm getting at exactly. Is that I love that again, we kind of fit the terrorism point with Joker under the whole like, is he crazy? Is he sane? With the fact that again, we label Joker a terrorist because again, that's the only in Nolan's world we don't have superheroes. That's the only way we could label supervillain in that kind of believable, basically in that more realistic kind of setting of like again cinematic, kind of a cinematic gravity, if you will. Basically, it's like it's selling you. It's still a movie. We can still kind of tweak things a little bit, like whether it be actually able to happen or not, but it's still kind of again, like you buy that we could call Joker terrorist because we don't have the words for a supervillain in this movie universe.
Right, right. I hear
And
you.
I like that again. The point is that Dent's making. He's trying to appeal to the audience there and saying like, "Hey, we're only doing this because we're scared. We're negotiating with the terrorists, which is a temporary solution. It's like a bully. The bully's just going to keep coming back asking for more. Like we're giving in to him because it's easy. And of course, we have one of the great lines of the whole movie where it's like it's always darkest before the dawn, but the dawn is coming. That's what Harvey Dent represents. He's the eggs and all. He's putting your eggs all in one basket philosophy. We want this to happen, but we open ourselves up to being really hurt if this one guy falls. Which again,
Mm.
Harvey Dent has a lot put on himself here, and
Yeah,
again, he makes it.
exactly, exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, of course, this shot right here of everyone kind of applauding him as he's going out. It's like they know what a big deal this is. They know how much is at stake, and this is, of course, the turning point of the movie right here. This is the point where it's like the Joker in about one car chase from now is going to have the upper hand, and he's going to keep the upper hand through most of the rest of the movie.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. I love that he's it's a really gutsy plan. Again, that he's basically saying that he is Batman. Again, he's just making himself a target here, and he's putting a lot on. Again, he's putting faith in Batman that Batman is going to save him. Because again, the idea, at least the way I took, it, is that he doesn't know about Gordon's little secret plan. Because again, he's surprised by it too. Batman and Dent have no idea what Gordon's planning here. By the same
Uh-huh.
token, they're still like it's like these three guys have a lot of reliance in each other. That he has faith that Batman's going to save him, and he has faith that and Gordon has faith that that all of this is going to work out thanks to Batman. It does. So this is funny. I like that we have the Joker is making a dark joke. It's like kind of a warning sign. One, we have the music cue that indicates Joker, but also a fire truck on fire.
Right,
It's like
right.
Joker's a little like, hey guys, you know something bad's going to happen here. Now, Tiki, this is a fun thing on the rewatch I've had ever since the first time I saw the movie. I just want to point out to you. Every time I watch The Dark Knight, I cite this even outside of The Dark Knight constantly. I love the fact that Gordon, unbeknownst to us, the audience, on that first watch, Gordon is the guy driving the SWAT van that Dent's in.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
next to Gordon is this comedy SWAT guy, this SWAT guy with all the funny lines, where he has probably one of the funniest lines in this movie. Again, it's a real serious movie. He has some funny lines here. He says, "Okay, that's not good." I constantly cite that line, like, "Okay, that's not good." He's just there's this ridiculous cowardly SWAT guy throughout the scene. I wonder if Gordon fired him or not because he's just like, I wonder. So reportedly, there might have been a scene where you saw Joker steal this "Slaughter is the best medicine" truck.
Uh-huh.
It's unclear, but I mean, there's like a production shot of like Joker in like a slaughterhouse, presumably where he's stealing the thing. It might have been like a makeup test. I don't know.
This is another IMAX scene, right?
Yes, yes. This is I believe, the third of the IMAX
Yeah, the
sequences.
third
Yes,
one. Yeah,
this is the
yeah.
biggest one though. It's like honestly, this is the biggest out of all the IMAX sequences. Actually, from what I
I gotta
heard,
say, Dragon, this is it's really well done action. It's just like, to me, the dialogue in this movie hits even heavier than the action does. So, while it's great, I'm just like, whenever I rewatch this movie, I'm like, yeah, but the interrogation scenes come in, and that's what my money's really here for.
sure, but I'd argue that even with the action, I remain with you on that point. But the end of the action sequence, where it boils down to "hit me, come on, hit me." That's to me that's the big crux of the action scene right there. That's where the character is within the action scene.
No, you're right. You're right, and I think that's the big thing with this movie is with the action. Not only is the action obviously very much improved from Batman Begins in terms of how it's shot, in terms of the visual spectacle of it, but yeah, we do have that thematic tie into it. I'm mostly saying this from the point of view of you know, the 17-year-old me who saw this in theaters for the first time, where all I wanted to do was get to that damn interrogation scene because you had seen it in the trailers, you'd heard about it, you know. So that interrogation, which we'll talk about, is clearly the whole center of the movie.
And of course, I do love that even in the car. I mean, this to me, don't know, it was spectacle and it was just kind of fun blockbuster stuff in Batman Begins, where like, he's doing the roof jumping and everything. But we brought the roof jumping into a really great character thing here, where Batman jumps over another car to take the brunt of. Again, Batman's enduring. He's enduring the blast. He's enduring the worst the Joker can throw at them, and he suffers for it. But Harvey Dent survives, and that's kind of again a thematic tease of what's going to happen literally at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nice. Or it's just like Joker's doing random things. Like he has all this great random dialogue when he's doing horrible things. Like I want to drive. I want to just. He pushes the dead guy out of the car so he can drive. By the way, that guy on the Joker's left. Well, I mean on Joker's right, our left. That's the guy who does all the stunts for Christian Bale. That is Buster Reeves.
Oh, nice, nice.
Little cameo for Buster Reeves there.
I like this job. I like it.
It's kind of hard to see, and I don't know if there's just people making stuff up, but if you look at the windshield, it looks I mean, I've always thought it looked kind of like a smiley face, but I heard it might be intentionally a smiley face. The bullet holes in the window in the Joker's truck. Like the ones on the windshield in front look kind of smiley face-esque. Right. So, unfortunately, folks, no more Batmobile, but good news, we got the Batpod. Now, the Batpod, much like the Batmobile, is, like the Tumbler, is entirely practical. It is 600 pounds. It was built like the Tumbler. It was built in Christopher Nolan's garage by Nathan Crowley. And it does roughly 85, 80 to 85% of what you see in the movie is that. Like, it's basically not all in one shot in some scenes. Like that, like a different version of the Batpod can do like the turning thing that it does later, like the wheel like turns as it spins. And and as you see with the Tumbler can make a full turn in one shot, just like can't do the full jump in like the same Tumbler. Like you have to have like a rig and something set up for that. But again, it's all pretty much what you see is what you get. And as Nolan did even more so than Batman Begins, they used all of Chicago that they could. Like all of this is on the streets of Chicago, folks. Like this, they made Gotham Chicago.
Yeah, and I'm glad let's kind of talk about that now in the center of the movie, Dragon, because I feel like that's a good discussion point to have with this film. Is you're absolutely right. I feel like the reason why they used Chicago and they emphasized it so much is one word and one word only, Dragon. It's simply put, the scale. You know, it's like where Batman Begins had the atmosphere, this has the scale. This has like, you know, like this is an epic story, so we need to have the epic setting. We need to have the tall buildings. We need to have the stuff that's truly gonna look fantastic in IMAX. You know, we really need to emphasize just how big of a world Batman is protecting here.
I mean, Tiki, you hit it just right because we in Batman Begins, we go to mountains, we don't go to skyscrapers. You know, we don't go to we don't go to the rooftops of construction sites or anything. We don't do that in Batman Begins. Now, this is a great line, Tiki.
There's a Batman.
Exactly, that line there is what I'm talking about. That's where Joker's agenda changed. Again, this is like the big agenda change of Act 2 for the Joker, where he's impressed by Batman. Like, okay, I was a little disappointed by Harvey Dent being Batman. This guy is Batman. He's impressing me. You know, it's like this is a guy who, I want to corrupt this guy. I mean, I'm a symbol. He's also a symbol, but I'm gonna prove my symbol's stronger than his.
Right, right.
But again, he's not just seeing him as like a guy he's just laughing at a guy who's like, oh, order in Gotham. Ha, I'll kill that guy. Easy. By the way, when that truck actually goes end over end. That is it's not a model, it's a giant truck that's actually been tipped over.
I know.
I know, just for the audience too. And also, I believe, I could be wrong if it's during that shot exactly when this gun bit cracks me up.
how he misfires the gun as he stumbles out.
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah.
Okay, so but real quick, I believe when they did that truck flip, they actually broke an IMAX camera, which is really expensive. That's $250,000.
Ooh, jeez.
Of course, folks, this is a big character moment here.
Come on, hit me! I want you to do it.
Again, T, if you need like a
Just a
snapshot,
clown standing in the middle of the road yelling, "Hit me." It
they,
doesn't get more intimidating than that, Dragon.
Nolan, again, I might be a happy accident. Nolan took one of the most ridiculous moments from '89. He made it fantastic and thematic and awesome here, where it's like Batman seemingly about to kill the Joker, and here it's like he wants to, but he can't. And like, yes,
Uh-huh.
that's so much better than when we've seen that scene before. And again, it's like it boils down to this whole, he just wants to curb like, you come on, kill me, and you prove my points. And okay, so real quick, Jim Gordon here. Of course, the big Gordon reveal, like, oh my god, he was the other SWAT guy, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all from Long Halloween. It was they changed some details up there. The whole plan, the whole
The whole
Harvey.
splitting up with the three people and then one of them going into hiding, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while, but that happened in
Oh,
Long
you're on the
Halloween.
money. Harvey Dent
Yeah,
faked
yeah.
his death, and
Right, Harvey
Batman.
faked his death. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Harvey faked his death, and
Uh-huh.
basically Batman, he was disguised as a SWAT guy to catch the holiday killer. That's what
Sure,
happened. Now,
sure.
here what we've done is, Gordon has faked his death, and Gordon was the SWAT guy. And I love the fact it's such a rare moment. We mentioned it so sweetly with with James Jr. Gordon saved
Actually,
Batman.
son, this time I saved him.
That warms my heart so much. It's like, oh, that's
And of
so
course, it's
cute.
a good setup for how much James Jr. means to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, also, real quick, it was a really blink and you miss it moment, but it's great how Ramirez, kind of our corrupt Montoya, if you will, they didn't make it Montoya because you can't have Renee Montoya be corrupt, which was a smart choice, I guess.
I agree. I agree.
Anyway, so what they did there is you'll notice Ramirez, the minute Harvey Dent praises the GCP, he says something nice about the GCPD and how they're good cops. He goes in, he gets put away in the very same police car that takes him away to his fate. And the camera lingers on Ramirez, and you see her look so guilty. So it's a little tip of the hat if you know what's going on.
Uh-huh.
She knows she knows something bad's gonna happen to Harvey Dent here. And this is a nice moment here.
I
Gordon's
love
get
this shot with the handshake and him with the arm on his shoulder. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just like a classic Jim Gordon pose. Dragon, can you elaborate on that? And am I just crazy? Am I just sniffing some glue or what? But I don't know.
okay.
The hand on the shoulder and the shaking the hand with the one hand. I don't know.
But you know what? I think it is. It's more indicative of the Gordon character, where Gordon is. It feels like Gordon because Gordon's the guy. He's going to shake the hand because he has to, and he's not.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, thank you.
He's a
You hit
humble
it. You hit
guy.
it.
He's a humble guy where it's not like going to be like, I'm going to shake hands like to take good photos. Like, okay, I'll shake your hand because I have to. He's like, okay, thanks guys, thanks for the hand, thanks for the
Uh-huh.
claps. But as that's happening to, I love that Heath Ledger. He improvised that clapping bit, by the way, when he was in the cell club. They
Which
didn't
is
know he was going to
great.
do
It's
that.
so
They just,
creepy.
I know, and just lingered on it. Now, Tiga, this is fascinating. I don't know if you noticed this. This scene borrows from Batman Begins, where they have the Thomas Wayne and Bruce Wayne scene. They kind of use the same score and the same framing and the same score of Bruce in bed have this heartwarming moment with Thomas Wayne after he fell in the cave. Like, why they were so scared of you? Because, fear is like a natural emotion, that whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of what we saw with Gordon and James Jr., which, of course, as you said, so brilliantly, Tiki, that comes back.
Sure, sure.
So this light source
Oh,
here,
here we go, Dragon. Here we go. Holy crap.
what's great about the whole evening, Commissioner,
Uh-huh.
that's Joker mocking his promotion because as we saw in the previous
Indeed,
scene, he was just
indeed.
clapping along with the rest of them.
I don't even know where to start here. This is a masterclass. This is one of the best scenes in the history of cinema, and I'm not saying that lightly.
It's definitely the most famous scene in the entire film. I love how Joker's shrouded in darkness, and again, indicative of kind of where, again, that inhuman, otherworldly quality of the Joker. And like the only light source is that lamp. By the way, like the backlight for Gordon that's near the door. Like the only way of freedom
Uh-huh.
is that light of like the end of the tunnel. And then you have like Joker is like almost like an angler fish at the bottom of the deep blue seas. That's the only light source. Like, oh my, you can barely see a human there. So so this is the first real meeting coming up between Batman and Joker. The first proper meeting, aside from that whole I'm gonna kill him, maybe
Right, right.
that whole thing. So I love this. I love this whole reveal that Gordon has placed Batman in the room, and he's just waiting for his moment here. It's like I love that Gordon is in control here. The idea is that Gordon and Batman have a routine here, not the good cop bad cop routine, but the good cop Batman cop routine,
Uh-huh.
more accurately, where um, you know, Batman appears here, and the idea, my favorite thing, my favorite undercurrent of this whole scene is that Gordon's on the other side of this window of the two-way mirror, and he knows that being Batman's using just the right amount of force here. Like he's hitting him in the head, then the hand, and everything. Like never start with the head, it gets all fuzzy. Can't feel the next. See that whole thing. Him doing that is again like it's Batman using his kind of force and understanding how to interrogate criminals, and Gordon has faith that okay, he knows what he's doing. He's in control of this thing. Like, but again, there's a scene. One of my favorite moments coming up here is when the minute Batman goes for the chair, Gordon realizes, oh my god, no, I gotta stop him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that beat as well.
This is possibly the best written scene in the whole film, and Nolan based this off of one.
It's maybe the best written scene in the entire superhero genre. Dragon, I would go that far.
I might go that far. I might too. Yeah. This scene is very heavily borrowed from Heat. The scene in Heat between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, basically a criminal and a cop who basically say they have like this respect for each other across from a table. And he says that one day I like you, but one day we're going to be opposed to each other, and I won't spare your life. I'm going to have to kill you if we run into each other in a professional sense again. That's essentially, again, Nolan's a big Michael Mann fan. That's kind of what they channeled through this scene, especially. Again, like this whole the fact that this big summer blockbuster boils down to this really hyper intelligent conversation between basically it's Nolan taking the impossible. It's Nolan, after all that he's done in Batman Begins and all he's done in this movie to sell you on a man in a bat suit, it's a man in a bat suit sitting across the table from a clown and having one of the most brilliant scenes in all of cinema. So Batman, he's facing the consequences of changing things. One of the great lines in this whole thing is like, "You've changed things forever." That whole thing. And again, Batman as a dramatic example. People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy. That's basically the consequences that Joker saw order in Gotham as a bad joke. He saw like he's laughing at the fact you think you can bring order to Gotham. That's an impossibility, and that's why That's why I'm around here to show you how hilarious that idea is. Your life is a joke. And coming up here, like right here, this is the moment I'm talking about here, where the minute
goes for the chair, sure.
The score is lovely. The score running here. So, okay, now we're in trouble.
Shit! No.
So, from what I heard, Christian Bale revealed this. Like I don't know for a few years before the anniversary, he revealed that he's actually hitting Heath Ledger in this scene.
I'm not surprised.
They basically saved a lot of their energy in the rehearsal so they could really bring it all out in this scene. And I love that basically Joker's confronting him with the simple fact that the Joker is a problem Batman can't punch away.
Yeah, of course it speaks to the whole, like, the Joker is going to enjoy a good beating, like it's literally not a solution for Batman in the slightest. It's like he has to kind of like, this is a man that sick, that pain is not going to be a factor for him.
And you see Batman losing all of control here and how the Joker is just pushing his buttons. And again, he went from knowing exactly what he was doing, and again, like the Joker playing card, Tiki, when he comes up, you have no idea what to expect. It's like now the rules have changed, and like Joker says, I want to find out where Harvey Dent is, and Joker, you went to the room with the Joker, and he says, hey, there are two hostages, and you have to pick which one to die. Ha 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 ha. That's basically. And I love there was an original line. Originally, the line was because again, the intensity of the scene just spoke for itself so well. Tiki. The original line in the script was, "Dent knew the risk," as in Batman saying, Dent knew what he was doing. I'm going after Rachel." But the intensity of that scene was so electric. He just kind of ended on Rachel. Just going after Rachel, just like simply a one-word answer. And again, amps up the intensity in the final cut here, where we go between Batman rushing to save Rachel, what he thinks is Rachel, and kind of Joker's kind of gumming up the works here.
Oh. All right, let's see. This is what I'm talking about with that pain thing with the Joker. That this guy knows damn well. Okay, if I beat the living crap out of this guy, it's just going to get him off, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? It's just going to satisfy him.
Yeah. Of course, this thing always creeped me out in this movie, though. This whole, the Joker's little contingency here.
I feel like I could see Alex Poncio doing a parody of this guy.
Yeah. Sure. So, by the way, just getting back to the Harvey Dent and Rachel thing here, this ammonium nitrate, all this diesel, basically these bombs. I love that. If you ever watch the Gotham Tonight segments, Tiki, those Gotham Tonight segments, again, they're such a really good prologue that again you don't need, but it's kind of fun little. It's kind of the cherry on top in a way because it hints at the Joker, like tells you like the week before Joker stole. There was a shipment of ammonium nitrate that was stolen from the docks, and this
Uh,
is where all of it went for this and the boat bombs and everything. He stole that ammonium nitrate and he killed two guys, so he knew where the mob's money was
Dragon,
kept. So
let's
like,
do you want to get into like one of the big fan theories surrounding the Joker that I kind of halfway subscribe to?
if you feel it's necessary, sure,
Well,
go on.
it's not necessarily necessary. I just think it ties into what you're saying of how much of a perfectionist he is and how high level he is.
All right.
One of the big pet theories I have is that Joker is ex-military. And to me, the only reason I subscribe to that theory is that it actually does explain how I think he's an explosives expert at the very least. He's some sort of like, it's clear that the dude knows how to rig an explosive. I mean, that much is obvious. He clearly has some sort of like high level training attached to him. He clearly knows his stuff. And rather that just be like an out of the kitchen kind of homemade bomb maker or someone with some serious training behind him. I just think that there's got to be some sort of backstory to this guy. And the fact of the matter is he does have a very particular set of skills because Liam Neeson isn't in this movie, but we need some Liam Neeson reference. But I don't know. What do you think? What do you think,
I
Dragon? Like we haven't really touched on the military theory too much in our conversations.
I know. I mean, also he has like the line with the blowing up like a truck full of soldiers later on. I mean, look, I've heard the theory. I don't buy it. I mean, I don't buy it just purely for the fact of the whole killing joke of all. It's multiple choice. You can't trust any origin theory. You know,
Well,
I
that's the
don't.
thing. I don't trust the theory, but again, if it's multiple choice, we have to have an answer to the multiple choice question. We have to scribble in a bubble, and that's the bubble I'm personally scribbling in,
Well,
Dragon.
I'll
If
hit
I
you
had
with.
to choose,
Okay, let me hit you with a. I'll hit you with my theory, which again I don't really subscribe to this a little, but I'm saying what if. It's like here's a what if that again you can't necessarily say I'm wrong about this. Is that I'm going to say this Joker, the Scar story that Joker was going to tell Batman in the third act. I'm going to assume he was going to tell him the true one, but he'd never
well, I
know.
like that. I like that.
There's a little fan theory for it. I'll hit you with that
Okay,
one.
okay, fair
Yeah, now,
enough.
real quick, a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff's happening here. I just want to mention with the death trap in itself. This thing occurred to me on a rewatcher. I love that we get Two Face. Sorry, the Joker put Rachel and Dent in a Two Face style death trap, and in that Two Face style, like it's a two centric. It's like two past two. It's a choice of one or the other. Choice like the coin.
Uh-huh.
He created Two Face by putting him in a very Two Face style death trap of forcing Batman to pick between one target or another. That feels like Two Face in the comics 101.
All
I
right,
think
so here we
it's
go.
kind of clever.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to point out Aaron Eckhart's performance here.
Oh yeah.
Like, my God, Aaron Eckhart is just, oh God, Rachel, no, why are you here for me?
Rachel!
Oh God, Dragon. I remember the first time I saw it in the theater. It was just, and of course we all know, as soon as his face falls in that oil, we know what's coming.
Oh yeah. I love that again. The two men in the love triangle specifically were the parties affected here, and that the two men in her life were the ones that were basically they were both disappointed upon finding each other while the girl died.
Sure, sure.
By the way, here's my little fan theory that I wanted to get into. That I believe Joker had the bomb in the guy's stomach, and the cell phone bomb in the guy's stomach. I believe the reason he didn't die in that it's always kind of bugged me. I've always factored. I want to get your take on this. I always assumed that Joker knew the explosion was coming, so he braced himself while the other ones were kind of shocked and kind of hit the ground, like kind of or knocked for a loop, and he left.
Well, I mean, clearly he's gonna know that the
Yeah,
bombs are going off. So yeah, I could see that.
I'm saying a lot of people like
That's
wonder
one
like,
really quick. That's one of my favorite shots of the movie. Is that one silent shot with him sticking his head out of the cop car?
dog chasing cars.
Uh,
Yeah. So, by the way, just Two Face being created in an explosion that is very Batman the Animated Series inspired. I'd wager to say.
uh.
I mean, that and the fact that we tatter half the suit, so we can kind of animated series esque, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the perfect Two-Face in my opinion. I really do. I don't think you could have done it much better.
Yeah, it's different, but like tweaked in a way that just complements the film so perfectly, you know.
Uh and what's great is that Nolan resists the temptation. I like this is one of those things that 17-year-old me was like, "Oh, why couldn't the Joker have died and Two-Face have lived?" But it's just like thematically it works so much better that the Joker will always be out there. He'll always be haunting Batman, and Harvey Dent is going to be like the ghost of that. You know what I mean? He's going to be kind of like the not so living reminder of what of everything, all the destruction that the Joker caused.
So, real quick, I want to. This is very important. I should tell you this in case you don't already know, and the audience too. Is a big fun fact for the whole film. David Goyer, he wrote the initial treatments for The Dark Knight, and he had a two-film plan. Originally, the way The Dark Knight was going to go was that this movie was supposed to end with the Joker being caught, and he was going to be on trial, and Harvey Dent was going to be prosecuting the case, and Joker would have scarred him with acid.
Ooh, man.
And then the third film would have been all Two Face. That was the plan that David Goyer laid out. But again, Nolan, he didn't want to put all of his eggs in the basket of, oh, we're going to absolutely have a third movie. He didn't intend on having a third movie, so that's why he nixed that plan. So, and again, he found a way to thematically kind of include it all in one movie.
And I mean,
It
it really does work.
it does. That's not a bad plan, though. I wanted to kind of highlight that. That wouldn't have been a bad plan, but yeah, we kind of found a way to make it all work in one
It
movie.
wouldn't have been a bad plan, but in some ways, it would have been a more traditional plan.
Yes. Like this way keeps you guessing, keeps you on the edge of your seat. So you have that. So
Ironically enough, that's kind of what I love about The Last Jedi, but I won't open that can of worms right now.
the fun fact though, just with the whole, just to kind of mention it with the thing I just brought up, but also the earlier scene. I love that Joker used the mundanity of rules to escape, like the whole, I just want my one phone call.
Right, right.
Again, it would have been more impactful if he was threatening Bullock. You know, it's just like, come on. But it's like, that's the reason I bring up the Bullock thing, because that scene would have been so perfect if it was Bullock who was saying, because we know that guy lives too. It's like, oh my god, it could have been Bullock.
I hear you.
Anyway, so yeah, there's this great story again with that trial idea, that there's this fantastic story that it's called Batman Dead to Rights, where it's the first encounter Batman had with the Joker, and we see Joker pre Arkham when he's being booked and processed, and the idea is we see all the chaos that he unfurls, like in a trial and in like the booking process, messing with the cops and the whole. So it's the idea the Joker can't be kept anywhere but Arkham Asylum. Is a really good story.
Uh-huh. Okay, here
So
we go. This is another kind of legendary scene for me.
yes,
What was that name, Gordon? Say it!
fact. So yeah, Aaron Eckhart loves the L in this movie. Did you notice that?
Yes, yes, I did. Yes,
He really does, like the whole "you can't get in."
Rachel!
Yeah, he just loves the L. He's earned it though. You know, he's been through a lot. I mean, he's kind of missing half his face. You know.
Okay, so let's talk about how amazing this effect is, because my god, it's CGI, but it doesn't look like CGI.
So, well, first off, I just love how they tease the reveal up here. Like you kind of cut away at the last second for a few shots, and then you eventually see it as like the big punchline of like, "What did you call me, Harvey Two Face?" You know, that whole thing. But again, right here we just cut away for it. It's awesome. So what they did here is, like, Aaron Eckhart, he has these motion capture dots on his face, and he has a bald cap. There's a skull cap on the skull cap. You have like a bit of the charred pattern, so he looks different. So they're playing off like still a reaction on his face, but they do CG it so they can kind of like sell the effect as genuine and kind of scarily burn victim as they can. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love the teeth. I
Mm-hmm.
love the eye, the hole in the eye. I love the that little chip on the forehead. I mean, just everything, you
I
know.
mean, to me, you're not doing Two Face. You're not doing Two Face right if you don't do the little kind of, essentially like a little tendon, the little like kind of the part of the cheek that shows you the inside of, like, that's like, it's kind of, for any comic book fan, it's kind of the Jonah Hex effect. You need to do that Jonah Hex kind of scarring on Two Face to make him sing. Like, that's Two Face, and they did that here, and it's perfect. So of course here we have a great symbol for again
This
the
is a great kind of like, it's sort of like the MacGuffin of the movie kind of crashing down around us, if you will. It's
uh-huh.
almost like Nolan being like, F you to proper story structure.
So by the way, so the giant pile of money. So that is directly from Long Halloween, and the way that story point went in Long Halloween, Tiki. I mean, I don't know if you remember this. It's been a while since you and I went over it, but the idea was Harvey Dent and Batman. They kicked off the war with the mob by lighting their money on fire when they found the resource. But this is such a fun kind of again Joker facilitating. It's kind of the similar effect of like that kicked off the story about mobsters to the supervillain freaks of Gotham. And what we have here is a more direct, like Joker enacting that himself. By it's like he's one of the best lines of the movie from the Joker. Again, there's so many good lines in the movie, so forgive me if I'm being uber redundant with that all throughout this conversation, folks. Forgive me. But I love that line. This city deserves a better class of criminal. I'm going to give it
And
to
I'm
him.
going to give it to him. You'll see. I'll
Like that.
show ya.
Like that line perfectly shows that again, this is the third act evolution of Joker's arc, Tiki, where he's becoming more and more like Batman's other half. That he's fascinated by Batman now. That he wants to be okay. I was working with the mob just to kind of like get rid of the order in Gotham, but now I'm just gonna. The mob is embarrassing itself. The mob is just pathetic. I'm gonna be the criminal that Batman deserves to have, which is good.
Okay, why don't we cut you up into little pieces and feed you to your pooches? That must be the most violent thing the Joker says in the whole movie. And that's what I love about Heath's Joker is the fact that like he goes from like charming and suave all the way up to like horrifying and just like edge of your seat. Like this guy will cut you up into a million pieces. You know what I mean? Like he is not above doing that.
Like this scene right here. So this hospital gambit the Joker enacts. Here's the fascinating thing, Tegan. This is like the hallmark of what the Joker is as a character that Heath Ledger encapsulates so well here. Is that the way he performs this scene is that Joker just kind of got bored and he wanted to challenge. I just like this guy's going to ruin again, showing the ideology shift in what he thinks about Batman here. That no, I want Batman to stick around. This guy's going to threaten that. So it's just kind of like, I'm bored with like there being no Batman. So I want there to be a Batman. Therefore, kill this guy, or else I'm going to blow up a hospital.
Sure, sure.
So yeah, it's just kind of Joker just kind of is bored with like winning. So it's like you know what, I'm done. He values Batman more,
It's
but
almost like that guy who gets too good at a video game, so he finds like different ways to play that kind of puts him at a disadvantage in an interesting way.
yeah, and by the same token, again, if Joker said, Joker, yeah, Joker's in conflict with himself there with the fact that he's a man of his word, but by the same token, he does like he switched the locations where Rachel and Harvey were. So the guy does, again, being again the Joker parallel itself with the playing cards that the guy changes the rules, so he tells you something you can't necessarily fully believe that he's not exactly a man of his word.
Uh-huh.
So that's the thing. Like, it is a great like whether he's a guy who makes plans or not. Like, he doesn't make plans to change things, but he makes kind of plans for capers. Essentially, he makes plans, just not grand sweeping plans.
Sure, sure.
And the plan that he makes here is that you know what, I need a great distraction, so I'm just going to go with this as my distraction to make everybody kind of scramble at the hospital, so I can just walk right in there. I love Gordon's sardonic line to Coleman Reese, by the way. He says, "Oh, maybe Batman can save you," because again, he was going to out Batman so, on air. So this is the other IMAX sequence, by the way. This is the big Lamborghini. Well, when it really amps up specifically, the big Lamborghini kind of rescue.
Lamborghini, then, much more subtle.
That's from year one too, by the way. It's kind of coupled with the bike scene that we saw earlier. They're deconstructing. They're shuffling around all these year one bits so wonderfully, and all from the ending in this movie. Right. It's great. Like he rides a bike to save Gordon in year one, and Alfred's asking him like, "Should I lay out your bat suit, sir?" And he says, "Never in the day, Alfred." And we have like a take on that here where it says, "The bat pod, sir, never in the day." Not very subtle, Alfred. The Lamborghini, then much more subtle. Again, it's perfect. It's a little reference. I love how useful Alfred is. Again, he's kind of the intermediary between Batman and Gordon. He's kind of, again, little homage to the Bat Hotline.
Yes.
It's nice. So again, you look
about these Dragon is that like we get so many little homages to things, and yet they're like quick flashes, but they're there and they exist in the universe. You know what I mean? It's such a fun world to play around with.
Oh yeah. Of course, Bergen Ramirez, and that Ramirez note again. We set up at the very beginning of the movie. Her mother's sick in the hospital, so we kind of know again. Again, these are ideas that pick up, and we're keeping Ramirez on everybody's mind for the big reveal coming up with her. So before we dive into this, and one little Easter egg here: the name tag, the fake name tag that Joker's wearing on the nurse's uniform, that's Heath Ledger's daughter's name, Matilda.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Haven't we all been there at some point, Dragon?
Oh, yes. Maybe not in a nurse's uniform, but we've all been there.
Mostly me on the receiving end of you.
Yes. I've been Harvey Dent in this situation, yep.
He really has, folks. We're not exaggerating.
So again, Tiki, here's the amazing thing that I don't know if it sinks in, but 10 years later, we really got to highlight this, man. In this scene, amazingly, the Joker kind of gets Harvey Dent to forgive him for killing Rachel.
Okay, in a way, yes, but more importantly, even than that, I think is the Joker really gets the audience on his side.
Yeah,
it's a great battle of words between the Joker and the audience at this point.
So the biggest, I think, one of the smartest idea in this movie is that again we're homaging. Again, Nolan is so good at adapting work, but working it into the. I mean, amazingly, he's taken so much from. I keep highlighting all this great source material, folks, because I'm just so astonished by how he worked in so much without it being a straight adaptation. Yet it feels so true to the source materials that he's pulling from. What we did here is what Joker's doing to Harvey Dent here is the big crux of Killing Joke, where Joker was trying to drive Jim Gordon insane. In this case, he's pushed Harvey Dent off the deep end, driving him insane and turning him into Two-Face here, which is great. Like that's how you take that idea and you apply it to something that's more applicable to the Dark Knight. And again, like we have these fun bits in that scene too. Again, it's a really serious scene, but again, Joker in a nurse's uniform is saying, like, he's blanking on Rachel's name, and Dent's like, Rachel! Rachel? Sorry. Again, this is kind of the classic Joker and Two-Face historically never got along, and probably, actually, any iteration of Batman, they never get along, by the animated series, they hate each other. Again, I'm trying to think, there's so many... I think in the Arkham games, I don't think they like it. Just they always kind of hate each other. It's just kind of funny. In the Scott Snyder version, they hate each other. It's funny. So I love this scene.
This is the best point that he ever makes in the whole movie. The whole, you know, like if a truckload of soldiers gets blown up, nobody panics. It's a status quo. But when I say that one little old mayor will die, well, then everybody loses their minds. And Dragon, that's the point in the movie where you're just like, God damn it, on sub level, I have to believe in the crazy guy in the fucking clown makeup.
Tiki, that's what Nolan did here is traditionally with the Joker, and he still did this too, and this is great. So the idea of the Joker, when Joker's written writes that you hate yourself for laughing, but we have that here with like some funny bits in the movie. But we have even more so is kind of an evolution of that idea where it's the joke is that you're going to agree. You're going to see that the Joker has a point. You're going to be horrified that you see that. You're taken in like Harvey Dent is to a degree. And again, like he's getting Harvey Dent to one. Here's what's so clever about this to me. Joker is doing two things here. One, he's getting Harvey Dent to forgive him in such a perverse way by again do your coin thing, and on the off chance that you don't, because again, whether he dies, then Harvey Dent's still going to become Two-Face. Therefore, Joker wins. He gets the last laugh. Even if he doesn't, then he's gotten Harvey Dent to forgive him, and he's gotten him to not target the symbols. So Joker's kind of he's trying to save Batman's life in this scene. If you really think about it,
I can see that. Yeah,
it's like don't target the symbols, target the schemers, the planners, the people who make things go all according to plan. Like your Sal Maronis and your Jim Gordons. Again, he's putting targets on their heads, but saving Batman and himself because again, he wants that dynamic to go on forever. And this scene to me is this classic Batman Gordon where again it's like there's always that question of does Gordon know or not, and we see that again Gordon might have suspicions, but I mean stuff like this makes him doubt it. Where Bruce Wayne's just playing doofy Bruce Wayne, where it's like what I was just trying.
hospital? You don't watch the news much, Mr. Wayne.
Adorable.
Okay, explain the improv here, Dragon.
This is great. So they have these charges are rigged, but they're not. There's like a timer built on these explosions. So Heath Ledger right now, he's coming out of the hospital, and just this moment of pause here, just like saying, "Wait, that's it? That's all." He's filling with the detonator here, because he knows it's supposed to be a big explosion. He's kind of making the moment here. He's just kind of filling with the remote here. It's like click, 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 and he's just surprised by the giant explosion behind him. Now I'm sure that was really dangerous. Oh, the school bus. You see an IMAX camera on the school bus if you look really closely.
Oh, nice, nice.
Like right in front of the Joker, because they had a deleted scene. One of the few deleted scenes in the movie that you can actually see on like the DVD or the Blu-ray, whatever, is Joker not looking at the explosion behind him because again, it's like the not looking at people when he kills them thing. Where it's just he's not looking, doesn't bother looking.
Mm-hmm.
There's just that disconnect there where it's like I just blew up a hospital, I don't care. But that's why the IMAX camera's like right in his face if you look there. And they actually blew up a building for all this, folks. They blew up again. It sounds like I'm making this up, but I swear I'm not. They blew up an abandoned candy factory.
Oh God! Oh,
which sounds like a Joker location out of the Batman comics.
It really does. It really does.
I swear they blew up like an old abandoned candy factory, I guess slated for construction. I imagine that little improv might have been dangerous too, by the way, like him waiting until the rest of the explosion kicked off. I don't know. I gotta tell you, so I mentioned that like a little pet peeve with the little wing thing earlier on. That still works, but here's something that occurred to me, and I have one problem with this movie, Tiki, just one, and I really wish I didn't. So one thing occurred to me. I never had this until the rewatch for this commentary. It just dawned on me. It just kind of shocked me because I rolled with it because why not? And also, by the way, Heath Ledger he improvised. So again, he shot this commercial here. He shot this little hostage video with Mike Engel. And originally Joker was going to be on camera, but Heath Ledger made the directorial choice in this scene, like have Engel do it. So he had put the makeup and everything on, have him read it. So that was an improv for the whole shooting plan. Anyway, so coming up, Joker. The idea is that Joker has basically said that for anyone wanting to evacuate Gotham, he's basically getting it so people leave Gotham through the boats. That's the plan because he has like all this stuff rigged up with the boats. The problem I have that occurred to me is that why on earth, it's a real buy when Gordon's when Gordon's talking to the mayor and he wants to put the prisoners on the ferry, and that never occurred to me until like this watch.
It goes by so fast that it's kind of like a blink and you miss it kind of.
And again, like you accepted it, right? Because it's a dramatic situation, and it's like that's the mulligan I'd give Nolan of like, yeah, it's fine. Tiki, real quick, this blew my mind. This may or may not be true. Over Dent's left shoulder, there's a little metal statue. You see that little metal statue?
Yes.
People believe that's Captain America.
Oh, wow.
And I tried looking for that statue to prove that, but I mean, it's like so out of focus you can't tell. But it looks like he has like a shield and like the star on the thing. But I can't verify that. But it might be Captain America over his shoulder there.
Captain America in a DC movie, folks.
I know, right? It kind of blew my mind. I saw that factoid somewhere. I was like, I don't believe that. And I looked at, well, I mean, again, they can't prove it either, but I kind of see a star on the chest. Of course, that coin scene kind of a little reminiscent of No Country for Old Men.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
I feel like both movies were in production around the same time, though, so I don't want to fault it too much for that.
Well, I think it might have been like maybe a year or two before it, but sure.
Well, No Country was like winter of 2007, and then Dark Knight came out summer of 2008. So.
Yeah, that's fair. They were in production while I was being okay. That's fair. Probably too late in the game to realize it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh shit, we need to write in a coin scene.
So, here's something I really like. So we're at the big Lucius Fox. Basically, the big payoff with the bat sonar, with the whole again the kind of the detective vision version of like Batman. Using the cell phones of Gotham, he can image basically all of Gotham. Again, I like that it works like a bat sonar. Basically, Nolan, what he did is he made one of the stupidest moments, one of the silliest moments in Batman Forever work to his advantage. He made sonar Batman work, and I love it.
Right.
And not only did he do that, well, we'll get to that when we get to that. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but This whole ethical dilemma here, Batman again. Batman's being pushed to the edge here, and he's kind of breaking the rules a little here by again he's kind of spying on everybody of Gotham, without their knowledge. I
Yeah, honestly, Dragon, I always kind of thought this moment was a little bit too like headline of the week, if you know what I mean.
True, but here's what I like about it. Here's why I would defend it. Like, I don't think it's as political as everybody makes it out to be. I see that there's definitely a parallel there, so I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying I don't think that should be like the main thing on everybody's mind when they see that scene.
Uh-huh.
What I like about it is that Batman, he put the control of that thing. It's too powerful for one man to have. Again, it's kind of a almost a corrupting idea. It's kind of pushing an ethical boundary. I love that Batman put it in the hands of Lucius Fox, the man who he wants Gotham to be like. And he got Batman wants Gotham to be like men like Jim Gordon and Lucius Fox. That's what he wants for the city. So I like that he put it in somebody. He basically put it in a symbol of what he wants the people of Gotham to be. So who better to be the judge of how to use that than Lucius Fox? I think Batman made the appropriate step for that.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I mean, it's not really even a nitpick for me. It's just kind of like I don't know. It doesn't. I don't want to bore you with it because
Right.
you've already heard the complaints about it.
Right.
Um,
So again, Eric Roberts is great in this scene here too. I love this grin he gives when Dent flips the coin and it's like you're a lucky man, Mister. You're a lucky man, Mister Maroney. He just gives a smile like, oh, what a sigh of relief. He's kind of buddy buddy with Dent, even though again, like traditionally in the comics, these two guys hate each other. But again, they kind of it was because of Maroni. I like that Maroni's still responsible for the scarring of Harvey Dent because he let Joker off the leash. I like that he's still involved.
right, right.
It's just fun. Look at this cutesy little grin he gives. And again, this is like the thing of Two Face here, where it's kind of this fun subversion. And there's like a little '60s Batman PSA here. Always buckle up, folks. Even if you're in the back seat, buckle up.
Of course, of course.
Buckle up for safety, because the idea is Maroney's battered and he's bruised and everything. Like he's in bad shape, but he's alive in that car accident. So this is what I'm talking about here. Again, it's like the only problem, legitimate problem I could see with the movie is that Gordon's taking an awfully big leap of like assuming that okay, Joker's promised that he's going to take control of Gotham by the end of tonight, and Gordon in that scene with the mayor, he assumed that okay, we should move. Like Joker might have a plan with the prisoners, so we should put them on ferries too. It's like I don't know about that. That's a bit of a leap.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what, Dragon? If I'm being 100% honest,
Yeah,
I think the fairy scene, like, it's a well done moral dilemma for sure. I don't. It's a bit of a buy for me. It's a bit of a like. It's not bad by any means. It is a good kind of like ethical climax of the movie, but I don't know. I feel like it goes on maybe a little bit too long. I feel like maybe the final act would have been a little bit better served with a little more Joker versus Batman and a little bit less of this. But by the same token, though, Dragon, I'm conflicted about it because the end result really is a great kind of like win for Batman and a loss for Joker. So I don't know. What do you think?
I like the ferry scene, but now I have questions about like the logistics of where it starts from. That's like the only issue I have with it. Really, just like like the whole like why are there prisons on the other side? Why couldn't you just keep them in prison? Like double the guards. Don't take everybody out of the prison.
Exactly.
Like again, that's my only gaping problem with it that I've never had before. I swear, I never had until like getting ready for this thing. It's like the only. But I mean, again, I just assumed like there was a reason. I had to rewind the scenes. Like, wait, did I miss something in that scene? Like, why are the prisoners on the boat?
uh-huh.
But I have a oh, sorry, I'm going to save my random question for after some of this here. Few little factoids about this scene. So they're actually shooting on a ferry, from what I understand. They're shooting on a ferry. They did all of the ferry stuff in one day. They did all of it in one day, and there's 800 people on the two of those ferries combined.
So wait, when you said they shot on just one ferry, so you're saying like basically there were like identical setups to the ferry?
What I'm saying is, one, they based the ferry on the Staten Island ferry, of course. It's kind of based on that, but
But what I'm saying is they kind of like they reuse the same set for both of the for both. So essentially, each time you see the ferry, it's on the same set.
I believe that because when you see the exterior shots of the ferry, they're CG, which makes me think they only shot on one ferry.
Uh-huh.
I
Interesting.
I don't know that for a fact. I would just assume that because they got it done in one day, and I'd imagine they do all of one half and they do all of one another half, like on different layers of the ferry.
Hmm.
You have like you have like different decks of the ferry to
Okay.
set dressing. I'm not entirely certain. I'm just saying, given the whole siege exterior. Okay. By the way, so the Spirit, the one called Spirit is the one with the prisoners. The one called Liberty is the one with the civilians.
All right.
I love that when Batman shows up to basically handle the crisis with the ferry with the ferries and everything. I love that we call back one of my favorite lines from. Honestly, they pull a line. Um, I'm sure it's from the Batman comics, but I love that it's in my favorite episode, Batman the Animated Series. I love they pulled one of my favorite lines from Batman the Animated Series in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Between Batman and Gordon, it's the scene where Batman shows up and he says, "It's never easy with the Joker." Essentially, he says like a variation of that line where he says it's never easy with him. So it's this cute little idea that this is the first time they're dealing with this with the Joker. Where years later they're going to be saying to each other, "It's never easy with the Joker."
Right, right.
So I love that, and it's it's great.
I like I said, Dragon, it's not that I don't like this climax because I'm into it. It is an interesting ethical dilemma. If anything, I think maybe it's a little bit out of left field in a Batman movie. Does that make sense?
I do, sorry, I don't feel that way because I feel that what's so cool is that as Joker progressively in the movie, he gets a more and more literal example of Gotham proving that proving its position, that it's going to turn on each other. People who are horrible, they're going to turn on each other. There's no hope for Gotham, and there are various examples in the movie of Joker making that example more and more literal. We saw with the bank robbery. Um, we saw it. I was trying to think of the off the top of my head here. The other we saw it. I guess we saw it a little bit with the mob, and I know there's God. I know there's another example. I'm just blanking on it at the moment right now. But I mean, we build to the ferry. We build to the ferry, and there was oh yeah. So the Harvey, Harvey and Rachel. That was the other main example. That's what
Sure,
I'm thinking
sure.
of. It Harvey again, basically making a choice, and it's making a choice and putting Gotham under the microscope, and like if Batman's going to kill him or not. We have all these examples, and we get to the most literal version of Gotham destroying itself and like choosing one life over the other, which again is losing like a large portion of Gotham to do that.
Hmm.
So that's great. And of course, I love Gordon's like it's like Gordon. It feels so bad for Jim Gordon for what happens to him in this movie here, but I love this desperate delivery of "I have to save Dent." It's like your heart goes out to him. You want things to work out for him. You want him to see. He just wants to save Harvey Dent because he feels that he let him down. He feels so bad about the whole Two-Face thing. And he has to find him. And the idea is that the bus full of hostages that the Joker took are the ones that are in this building, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Hence the Mike Engel of it all here.
Dragon, I'm sorry. I think I might be a little off on the time code because I accidentally paused it at some point. What's your time code?
Well, in terms of what I have left, I have 26 minutes and 19 seconds. Anyway. So yeah, this is all set on the Pruitt building. This is the other big IMAX set piece, by the way. So I believe the last of the major IMAX set pieces. Then we get
I'm
into
sorry.
pieces.
Let me know when you're at 25:15, okay?
All right.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why I'm now suddenly ahead and not behind, but whatever. Weird.
Was like, oh yes, again, this is the other one of the other major IMAX set pieces set at the Pruitt building. I think it was like the then tallest building in Chicago, if not the Sears Tower. It was like one of those two, or like there's some of the tallest buildings in Chicago.
Nice, nice.
And so I love this set piece here, and I love that again. Even we keep proving Joker keeps proving his point in some way, and he keeps like again like kind of subverting expectations here and kind of and twisting things on Batman the GCPD here with the whole clowns and hostages gimmick. I love the clowns and hostages switch.
Oh.
Right now.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Alrighty. Cool.
So I love that, and again, this is kind of on the nose here. I like that the building is under construction, like the how Batman and Joker's dynamic is building within the movie. It's kind of a stretch, I know, but it's kind of neat.
No, Dragon, do you want to take some time to talk about like uh, I feel like it's almost a taboo subject at this point, but what a third Nolan Batman movie would have been like if Heath would have been around for it? Because as
Uh
you said, I feel like this scene beautifully like it's like their dynamic under construction, and by the end of the scene, we get the whole like the immovable force versus versus I'm sorry, I don't it's late, Dragon. I don't know the
the
line.
unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
Right. I don't know. Like, what do you think? Because to me, I almost kind of think that it, it's almost inevitable that we would have seen some sort of Arkham Asylum side plot with the Joker if Heath would have lived.
I would agree with that. Yes, I believe that's where we would have gone with it. I think we would have done like we probably would have done like Harley Quinn as like an example of him corrupting somebody, and we would have done like a that's essentially where I think it would. I agree with you full heartedly. Maybe not the Arkham games per se would have been really funny considering they kind of created the Arkham games accidentally, but yeah, we probably would have done that.
I could see Harley Quinn and Catwoman still being the main new villains, and then Joker being like kind of like the Hannibal Lecter in the film.
Sure. And again, that's what that whole dynamic between him and Harley Quinn is. It's the whole he's a Hannibal Lecter essentially. So I agree with that. But again, that's like what if, it's the land of what ifs.
Yeah.
So let's see. But again, I already
Land of
mentioned
What
like
Ifs. I think that is one of the big ones when it comes to filmmaking. That's one of the. It's a Hollywood myth in a way.
sure. So I think it's scary how just to kind of talk a little bit about the boat scene we have. Again, the boat scene is like it's kind of the undercurrent of the moral battle between Batman and Joker that's kind of cutting away to while the fight's going on. So I do like that it is with purpose that we're cutting away to that boat scene. It's a question of basically it's the war of does like who's had the greater effect on Gotham, Batman or the Joker? Like the optimistic version of like order in Gotham, or like there's no such thing as order in Gotham. People are going to do what they can to stay ahead of one another. And it is scary how the civilians of Gotham are more willing to blow up the other the prisoners than the prisoners are.
That's a good. Yeah, I love that subversion when we see the big heavy set prisoner take
Ginty,
the
his
what?
yeah, that's his name. Ginty. Ginty's the giant. I believe the Tom Lister prisoner.
Yeah, this is it, right?
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, the whole like let me do what you can't. That's a great role reversal.
Yeah. And again, it speaks to again like even the again even Gotham at its core. There is an influence of Batman there. There's an influence of hope, and it's fascinating.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of the Joker thing you did bring us real quick, I want to mention two things we kind of glazed over. One, I love that we there was a bit of a setup with Arkham with Joker in this movie where the Schiff Thomas, like a lot of Joker's henchmen in the movie were our ex Arkham inmates. They were drawn to him like Madness is drawn to the Joker. It was kind of a fun little setup of Arkham Asylum in the movie.
Sure.
And real quick, just random question before we get into the big meat and potatoes of it all, just because I forgot to ask you this earlier. Do you think Commissioner Loeb was corrupt in the Nolan films?
I don't know, Dragon. I didn't really I don't really have think about it that much either way.
All right. Okay. Anyway, back to the meat and potatoes of it all.
Okay.
So, by the way, because now it's gone, but the whole sonar vision, I love that the sonar vision. The thing that I was geeking out about so much when I saw The Dark Knight for the first time is that finally, Tiki, after so many years, and again, even way before way before Zack Snyder did it, we got Batman with like the eye lenses. We had Batman with like the whites of his eyes for a moment before like before the sonar. Again, he had lenses in the mask. We didn't see Batman's eyes for like the first time ever on film.
Right.
That was a huge thing, T. It's like I've been dying to see that, and of course, years later with like the white kind of LED lights and Batman v Superman, but still, that's a huge thing.
Right.
So here's So again, that whole action sequence was great, and again, the building under construction, Joker
Dragon, just
hitting
so you
Batman.
know, that's it's getting to the point where I can't really talk a lot, like as we already discussed. So
Yes.
kind of, yeah,
Right.
parents are in bed and all that. So just so you know, that's kind of the situation. So if I'm being quiet, it's not because I'm like, yeah, Dragon, I'm over it at this point. No, it's I'm still very much into it. It's just I have to kind of keep my voice down. So I apologize.
Right. But I mean, yeah, we've done this third act actions, this third act kind of battle of wills and
Well, that's the thing,
morality.
Dragon. You were about to say action scene, but it's really not. You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like a more serious kind of like self meditative version of the Doctor Strange final final scene in a way. You know what I mean? Where it's that same sort of subversion.
I mean, this is such an excellent final scene between Batman and Joker, and it's kind of
You know what it is, and in a way, I'm really glad that it's the last time these two interact because it's
yes.
perfect and it kind of says all you need to say, and it's sort of like a great ribbon on everything.
So I love that Batman's answer to kind of Joker's eternal question of, "You want to know how I got these scars?" Of like, do you want to hear again whether he's going to tell him the truth or not? It's unclear. I was just kind of joking about that theory, but still, I mean, it's an interesting theory though. If he would have told anyone the truth, he would have told Batman the truth, which could be
Uh-huh.
interesting. Regardless, I love that one. He saved the day with the gauntlet again. Again, he gave Joker a few new scars with the the gauntlet. But I love that. That's what the eternal struggle is between them. That Joker will pose him these questions, these big ethical questions, and Batman will have like a solution that'll save him at the end of the day, but still be a retaliation of force to the Joker. Of like, I know you got these. Where like, I don't care like who you were. I'm just going to deal with who you are now.
Sure.
And of course, the fall is one. It's directly from Batman #1. It's the first time Batman and Joker fought each other. Joker fell from a great height. So that's a mainly. I'm sorry.
Batman, right?
What?
Burden Batman, isn't it also kind of a reference to that in a way?
Well, yes, I'm just saying the direct thing. I think Batman caught him on a line in Batman #1, but of course
Uh-huh.
the whole it's basically '89 done right, where Joker was kind of fell to his death at the end of that movie, and now we did the
Yeah,
correct
yeah,
version of it where he saved him. Yeah. So again, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole movie with Joker. That his arc is complete, seeing Batman as the immovable object to his unstoppable force, and the fact that they're destined to do this. And again, such a great final scene between these two icons. It's the birth of the Batman Joker relationship, and it is, as you said, Teague, it's perfect
yeah,
in
yeah,
every
for
way.
sure.
The fact that Joker has like turned his world upside down.
You
That's
know,
what
the
we do with the
one thing,
camera.
this is gonna sound super nitpicky, but I feel like they cut away from the Joker at it's sort of like an awkward point. Like I don't really feel like we get a proper punctuation at the end of everything. Does
What do
that
you
make any
mean?
sense whatsoever?
Well, I mean, what do you mean by the cutaway? Do you mean when we had the SWAT guys looking at him?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I feel like we should have lingered on him when the SWAT guys were looking at him a little bit more than okay, like look, right now
Oh,
it's like we just kind of get this one quick shot of see what I mean? We just kind of like, he just kind of swings towards the camera really quick and then that's it. I don't know. Like again, it's totally a nitpick. I just feel like it would have been a little bit more impactful
well, you know
if
what?
we
There's
would
a
have lingered on him a little bit.
Now here's a cool fan theory I would like to get behind real quick here, and this is like a thing that again that you don't need it for the movie at all. It's just something to make you think. And again, like Nolan has, if you want to go by novelizations and such, we know this doesn't happen, but it's kind of food for thought that those SWAT guys they arrest the Joker, and there's a question of after all the stuff the Joker's done to the GCPD, like did they blow him away? Did they kill him?
Uh-huh.
And again, we never see Joker again in the films, so there's a question. I do like though with the fact that again we're never again it's like the perfect last scene if you're gonna have like a Joker scene in Batman scene. At least we went out on like the perfect note there.
Oh yeah.
If I do like that we also got kind of other iconic joke. We got pretty much like a checklist of iconic Joker stuff throughout this movie, including the crowbar. Like when he beats Robin to death with the crowbar, he beats Batman uh, severely with that crowbar after he stabbed him in the head. And of course, like we had the callback of the dogs. We set up the dog, the Russians' dogs. Like Batman keeps fighting those dogs throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, thematically, he's the dog chasing cars, so he's beating up the dog chasing. It's kind of thematic.
Sure,
All right.
sure.
So here we are, folks. Oh my God. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. We're at 250 52nd Street, which, by the way, to me, always read as like kind of a fun, like Two Face reference of all the twos and the halves and everything.
Right, right.
250,
I could see that. I could see that.
250 52nd Street. Like, that's all
Oh
Two
God.
Faces. I mean,
That's a
seriously,
little on the nose, but I like it.
but seriously, all of these, I love all the little Two Face nods. Like, again, he was created through a Two Face style death trap. That's clever.
Hmm.
A dark version of the '60s Batman. And I love that this is the site of Gordon's greatest failure, his failure to Rachel and to, again, like the mission of everything here. Where again he failed Harvey Dent, the whole scarring it. Again, the site of like Harvey Dent's really hammering in the irony of Gordon here. Of like, you trusted the people I told you not to trust, and look what happened.
Hmm.
I mean, I love how personal this final confrontation is. I just love how personal it is.
Hmm.
And of course, this whole final scene, we gotta highlight this. The final scene here is so inspired by the year one climax of Jim Gordon Jr. in peril over the bridge and Batman saving Gordon's kid, of course, and the big leap to save Gordon's child. That's all. Again, the best part of Batman Year One, they got into Dark Knight. Again, wasn't even expecting Batman Year One going into this movie, and it was great.
Yep.
Just basking in the movie, folks. It's amazing.
No, no, Dragon, I literally can't talk. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. This is why
I
I wanted to do it over, all right?
I'm not casting any shade. I'm just pointing it out. It's a good
Okay,
movie.
I literally can't talk.
No,
Like, we're gonna have to end out this. Like, I can say some final thoughts, but it's like I'm actually really stressed out right now. But
I'm telling you, don't be. We're all good.
okay, well, I'm telling you that you're gonna have to kind of guide the conversation and don't just expect me to jump in, all right?
All right. So
All right.
I love that in some way with all this. Harvey Dent is in some way kind of like what it was with the Joker. In some way, he's looking to forgive Jim Gordon, like Joker, like he did with Joker with the coin, but the coin flips, and he's not going to kill Gordon because again, he is in part he does. He knows it wasn't Gordon's fault, but he still wants him to suffer a loss like he did. That's the only way he can profoundly accept an apology from him. And I find that idea to be so I find that idea to be so interesting that again, like he's shooting Batman as the symbol that inspired them that they could do this. And again, all decided on a coin flip because now he's fallen so down the rabbit hole that justice is completely random and that there's chaos and there's that order was a bad joke. And if you look at Harvey Dent visually in the movie, one of the great symbols here is that he is you could look at it as Harvey is a parody of himself, that he believes his coin BS. Like he's all like, oh, this coin, I make my own
Right,
luck. And now
right.
he believes that the coin is absolutely, it's like, no, it actually can decide, right from wrong because it's fair, because it's like it's the decider. And of course, he's a parody of himself, but two, visually, he is a symbol of order and chaos fused together. He's a casualty of the war between Batman and the Joker, and it kind of makes him it's a great origin story of like if you're going to do like a one-off Two Face story, this is the way to do a one-off Two Face story.
Hmm.
And now, again, the music was fantastic during that scene. By the way, I just want to highlight that the very on the edge of your seat music, some of the great and Gordon's look of hopelessness after Batman is shot always makes my blood chill every time I watch the movie.
Sure. And
But
I
this
can
scene,
comment a little bit on the cliffhanger of this all, Dragon, because whether or not it was intended to be a cliffhanger, it jacked me up to see the next movie. It was really just like, as a matter of fact, Dragon, this is like kind of like one of the big reasons why. Again, folks, we'll get into the minutia of the next movie later on, but I thought that having the 10-year time jump right at the start of this next movie was sort of like a wasted opportunity to see Batman versus the police in a more kind of like active role, because I thought the idea of that really intrigued me. And of course, I love the idea of Batman being the one to take the fall, him, kind of subverting what it means to be a hero, the famous delivery of, oh, I don't know, help me out here, Dragon. The whole like he's the hero Gotham needs, just
he's the hero Gotham
Gotham
deserves, but
deserves, just not the one it needs right now, right?
exactly that's the line. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Real quick, I want
Go
you go
ahead.
on. I want
Go
to
ahead.
backtrack just a smidge to one of the callback to my favorite moment in all the Nolan movies, and I love how they called it back in this movie, and it gets me a little emotional every time. It's just this little bit where, Gordon rushes down the check on Batman, and he says, "Thank you," and Batman says, "You don't have to thank me." He says, "I do." Just like this, the beautiful callback to the end of Begins, where it's like, "No, I do have to thank you. You saved my
Uh-huh.
family again." It's fusing together the ending of year one and the ending of Batman Begins, and it's
Right, right,
wonderful.
right.
Oh, it's a callback that makes me misty, you know. And again, this is a great ending. It's a morbid version of the pact that they made to end corruption on the rooftop. That's kind of what this ending is all about. And basically, it's kind of Batman enduring, like Alfred said that he needed to. Basically, Batman kind of pulling a Green Hornet here, where he's going to be the bad guy that's going to be chased, but secretly doing the right thing here. And we have the tradition of ending honestly, ending every Batman movie, period, with the bat signal, or at least
Yeah, yeah, pretty much every theatrical Batman movie is ended with the bat signal.
even Phantasm.
Hmm.
So again, it's a really not. I really like how they have this speech that Gordon's giving this speech about Harvey Dent, and we overlay it with basically everything that he's saying about Harvey Dent. He's secretly saying about Batman,
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
and I love like the somber destruction of that symbol, the symbol they were all unite under. Gordon
Hmm.
has to destroy the bat. He has to destroy the bat signal. And like everybody gets rewarded. Like again, the symbol of what Batman wants Gotham to be in Lucius Fox, like he was rewarded for his faith, Gotham's faith in not blowing up the other person on the boat. Again, those two things very interrelated. Again, Lucius Fox finding the boats and the whole situation there. Again, all of it kind of paying off. And again, Nolan yet again he's kind of painting a picture of like the best Bat movie you could imagine in your head as what you get next, imagining that he's not coming back for another
Exactly,
one.
exactly. And that's kind of like the biggest compliment I can give this ending. Well, at the same time, I feel like it's almost like a handicap that the next movie is kind of stifled with it.
Yeah, and again, you can only pull that hat trick so much, folks. It's a human observation that, by the same token, that we do end this in like it's another perfect ending.
Hmm.
We have an explanation of the title here, and again, it's like we saw this all throughout the marketing, the flash shot of the movie of Batman on the Batman on
Yes,
the
yes,
Batpod.
yes.
But again, I love it. It's he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight. I love that Jim Gordon gets the last word of the movie.
All right, Dragon. So we'll kind of try and wrap up our final thoughts really quick because, as I said, I have to be going to bed since all my folks are in bed. So final thoughts on my end, Dragon. This truly is like it's a game changer. It's like what can be said about this movie that hasn't already been said. It might not be my number one favorite in the superhero genre as a whole. I think that still might go to Spider-Man 2 if I'm being honest with myself, just on a very personal level. I don't think anything's going to touch Spider-Man 2. But I mean, just for bringing a sense of realism and a sense of legitimacy to the genre as a whole, like you can't touch The Dark Knight. And ironically, ever since The Dark Knight came out, I feel like that kind of like weird trend of the dark and gritty things, post 2008, that was almost like an embarrassment to the superhero genre. So The Dark Knight is unto itself. It's a beast, it's a monolith, and I don't think it's going to be topped for a long time. And that's really all I have to say about it.
All right, I find it important that I should point out that I read this awesome thing that happened after that as David Goyer, Christopher Nolan, and Jonathan Nolan watched the movie for the first time, the fully completed movie for the first time. David Goyer, who can be kind of famous or infamous at times. David Goyer, again, for like having some of the best of superhero movies under his belt and some of the not so good superhero movies under his belt. He turned to the brothers Nolan, if you will, and he said, I can't believe, and again, word for word, folks, he said to the Nolan brothers sitting next to him, I can't believe my name's in a movie this good, on a film this good. And I find that amazing. It's like, yeah, that's a sweet moment to kind of realize that and just like, yeah, they did such a good job. And again, folks, there's such an impact to this movie. We don't have the Arkham games without the Dark Knight. Again, just kind of being so good it couldn't be adapted into a game, but we're going to make something that can kind of stand up to the legend of like Batman being kind of basically Batman being re-energized in a big way. And
Even though the MCU and the Dark Knight are completely different things, like we
yeah,
probably don't have the MCU being as big as it is without the Dark Knight because of that sense of legitimacy that it brought to the genre.
absolutely. So again, my final thoughts: if Begins is the smartest origin movie and Phantasm is like the truest to the character of Batman, this is the smartest Batman film. I feel it has its cake and it eats it too for being such a great sequel that continues the symbol idea from Begins, but at the same time, it is a solid standalone with a fully formed Batman with this tragic arc of realizing he just can't win.
Uh-huh.
And it hits all the Batman buttons you want it to, and it's Nolan achieving, as I said earlier, it's Nolan achieving the impossible. Yet again, he made the best Batman film we could have imagined, like Batman Begins tease that he never would have had to make, but he did anyway. We're very, very grateful. Again, Batman Begins is how we see Batman on film. This is a Batman story. This to show you how great this is. It stole the MCU's thunder because Iron Man, and
Really did, Dragon. As good as Iron Man was in 2008, no one was freaking talking about Iron Man in 2008.
and again, it stole its thunder because it's that good. Like we get Iron Man for the first time ever, and we jumpstart this whole universe plan here. But no, Batman wins because it's that good. It's top tier filmmaking, and again, I think we should count our lucky stars that we were lucky enough to get the Dark Knight, and as the Joker said, like Joker would say to Christopher Nolan, "You've changed things forever."
Okay, folks, thank you so much for watching. And of course, the next one is going to be the most divisive one. Dragon and I have actually been talking about doing a commentary on this film for a long time now because famously, Dragon, I don't want to mince words here. I kind of hate The Dark Knight Rises. I really do. I mean, there's like The Dark Knight Rises is one of those movies for me where there's so many little problems that add up. There's no big problems with The Dark Knight Rises, right? There's no huge monolithic problems with it, but there's so many little problems. There's so many little annoying things to that movie for me that just it doesn't come together as a whole. And we'll be getting to that, of course. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I love Tom Hardy's Bane as much as the next guy. I'm sure there'll be some fun Bane impressions on the next podcast. Dragon, anything you can say to hype up Dark Knight Rises from your end?
Rises is I gotta tell you, re-exploring the trilogy, in honor of the 10 years of the Dark Knight. I gotta tell you, the trilogy is kind of a fascinating analysis of Nolan as a filmmaker. I think that's really something I'm looking forward to getting into and just seeing how the position Nolan was put in and just kind of seeing. I guess to tease it up, I kind of feel that Rises is kind of Nolan directing a parody of himself, and I find that very fascinating. And don't worry, I like the movie. Don't worry, I like the movie, folks. But we're going to get into kind of I have thought on the movie a lot more since I've seen it, and again, especially re-exploring the other two movies. So again, I have some new thoughts on Rises, but I think it's really fascinating to get into.
All right, and we will be doing that by the end of the month, folks. Thanks so much for joining us, and until then, somebody knows where he is.
He does that.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I have to